Welcome, everybody. The start of a new season, 2 weeks apart from, well, 3 weeks apart from the draft, a week apart from the clash at the Coliseum. We're back to the Cathedral of Speed. We're back to Daytona National Speedway, the High Banks, here in Florida. Qualifying set to begin. And for those unfamiliar with how the season opener goes, qualifying night, it's a multifaceted affair. Single car runs will determine the run for pole position. The front row will be determined tonight, as well as those further back. The front row is determined by the single car qualifying runs we're about to see, with the duels coming up behind, filling out the rest of the field. There'll be two duels. Duel 1 determines the inside lane. Duel 2 determines the outside lane. And all that is determined by where they qualify. We're going to see drivers tonight try to go for pole position. Track position is going to be crucial, especially with 9 teams, everyone fighting for very valuable positions. Over 30 cars already present, ready to get action underway. But for those tuning into AB and Esports One's coverage of the ARCS Midwest Barbecue A Square Cup Series, I'm Carmen Sienna. Alongside me, as it has been for over a year, Kevin Young. Kevin, you were just here at Daytona. Welcome back.
Yeah, it's back in the virtual world. I did at least walk around this place over 10 miles for 24 hours. It was quite an experience, and I still can't escape it, at least in the A Squared virtual world for the next couple weeks. But as qualifying is about to go on, and I think you'll probably see one car pass on the shot here in a second here, it'll be Sienna Thompson in the 10. It's going to be quite interesting to see how this all plays out in accordance. And I think it's going to be quite an interesting show to see, as we'll find out, at least in the next hour and a half, maybe less, who makes up the front row. And then we're going to find out who makes the show and who may be going home. But obviously, as we go on here, if you weren't present for the draft, you'll see new drivers, new teams, new faces, and different addresses. And we'll go over all of that and kind of rehash those things as we have this little bit of time here as the qualifying happens. So speaking of the car I just mentioned, that is Sienna Thompson in the number 10. She'll be the first car to go out here and try to set a time and try to get herself into the show, or maybe put herself on the front row here. Obviously, A Squared Cup rookie in that number 10.
A little bit of latency going on here with Sienna Thompson, as we try to follow along with his lap time here.
Never something you want to see when you're around a track like this. Obviously, if it does persist when the duels occur, she'll be told to drop to the back or head to the back just to make sure they do not take someone out here. But for right now, at least in a single car qualifying, it's not too pressing, and hopefully they can get it fixed up and cleaned up as they come around here to finish their first lap here. We'll see, and actually probably only lap, I should say, is the other car is on the track. Cross the line, and it's going to be a 49.30 with a number 10 machine. Pretty good right now, but obviously with still at least over 34 cars to go here at the very least. That time will be interesting to see if it holds. Moving nicely to now John Smeal in the number 13 right now. Different postcode, was last year was driving for Beatron and had a full guaranteed seat. Ended up getting 5th in said race there in that Beatron domination race where 4 of the 5 drivers controlled it at the end. This time driving in a open entry, trying to get into the field here in that number 13.
Something very important to talk about here as we get ready, as we watch Smeal on his lap time. He's halfway through his lap here, and then Jack Mulkey will be up after him. 2 distinctive codes here as far as what you're going to see. You're going to see some drivers with the R in parentheses along their names. That means that they're series rookies. They're new to the series. Drivers in red with the numbers here, they're independents. You'll also see it when we look at the name banner. It's off in the top right of the name screen here. You'll see that at the top of the banner as well. Independents will be marked in red. So we're just indicating that they're not attached to a team. There's a lot to sort of break through here. A lot of changes, as we mentioned, from the draft to the clash. Now we're looking at the 25 race season, and it's going to be very quick in terms of how everything moves here. John Smeal goes top of the board, a 49.3. Puts him top of the board. The first few will begin sliding up the top of your screen here momentarily. Yep. Once we get a few more on the board here. Jack Mulkey from Fishers, Indiana. Former Arrowhead 500 winner back in 2022.
Yep.
He finished third here for Beatron Racing.
Yep, same race in question, John Spiel. By the way, you could take what I just said, copy and paste it. That was Jack Mulkey's story. He was the full-time entry. John Spiel was the part-time entry for Beatron, but still got 5th in that race. And now Jack Mulkey got a podium with Beatron, tried to make a late move with the help of Jeremy Braille, but could not get the job done, could not make the lines work in the teammate shuffle. Braille ended up winning that race. Now an independent ride. Maybe if things go well here, he could maybe find himself a ride later in the season. Cross the line, though, Mulkey goes P3. He will slot it a little bit of ways away, a 49.84, so not the quickest time, and that is going to automatically confirm that he will have to race for a spot in the duels. No front row guarantee for him. Now move us to Davey Hauk, if I'm not mistaken, if I got that correct. Obviously, you have the stats on the screen right now. Best finish 4th at Gateway, another independent driver. So a lot of these drivers we're going to see coming off the line right now, they're independents. They're looking to try to make this show, because we know at the very least, full-time entries, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 teams with 4 spots, guaranteeing about 36
right
spots. Yeah, and the remaining spots, I think up to 40, I want to say. So only 4 guaranteed independent rides can get into the show.
Yeah.
And there's that risk-reward situation, so we'll keep an eye on these independent drivers and see who makes it and who doesn't. But as we see, Davey gonna come across the line, number 28 machine with the Bass Pro sponsorship. Can he put himself on the front row and make that ride a little bit easier? He can put himself on the front row, and he was in a dead heat with John Smeal. Dead even times, but time goes to the one that said it first, or in iRacing's code, very close, and it goes to Smeal. So Smeal and Hawk, the front row at the moment, and now Selena Thompson will have to try to get her spot in the duels.
So we've seen 4 so far. There's 8 independents trying to get their way in. Obviously, it's a very intense battle here. There's Mark Dilo, one of them. He's beginning the roll on track here. I believe he is one of the next ones in, as well as Ryan Gomes. Ryan Gomes, the 55, I believe, is actually the next one up.
I believe I heard Gomes first. We'll obviously see that in a second here when one of the cars go on. But speaking of Mark DeLayla, definitely one of those drivers we kind of thought maybe would have got a seat, got a full-time ride, and now on the independence list, going to try to at least, again, maybe prove some drivers wrong that, hey, I should have been picked. I should have had a seat at the table. But right now, obviously, qualifying not too far away for him as we're waiting for a few more drivers to line up here. But he will be in that next group to go. There's a few more down the line there as well. There's Ryan Gomes. And Baxter in question is also spawned on the track as well in the 60. Gomes now head on out the 55, Ryan Gomes. Obviously a bit different than we usually see, at least I know in Carmen's used to with these single car runs with HDL and a few other things, but still done in a very complete order. Matthew Kent obviously being the race control here tonight, going to make sure that no hoot-hanny or mistakes happen. We thank him for being able to do race control here and make sure this goes off without a hitch. But there you can see Ryan Gomes, the Californian driver, is a rookie this season. He will be competing if he is able to make enough races, or that would be competing for the Rookie of the Year. See what he can do in that Chevrolet 55. In the high line to try and set himself up nicely here. Obviously, with it being only one good attempt at it, you're going to want to run low. It's going to be daring enough to go high side unless they want to try to gain more spots in the duels, or maybe just intentionally start in the back. If it's open cars, they don't really have that choice. They got to try to get a high spot as they can.
Ryan Gomes on track. See what lap time he's able to put down here.
Oh yeah, just to let anyone know, new viewers coming in as well, obviously A Squared had a bit of a different qualifying procedure than other series, but obviously this is the single car qualifying only for the duels. But if I'm not mistaken, again, Carmen can correct the record or not, but they usually did have last season, all of last season, they did have heat races every week to decide the rest of the positions after the front two. So the heat racing was a part of it. I'm not 100% if it carried over into this season. I'm assuming it would have, but if not, Carmen can correct the record if so. But across the line, the 55 will go, and that will be P4 for the number 55 machine. He will also have to try to gain more spots in the duels.
So up next, Mark Dila is on the board here. And to kind of go through this, so a lot of changes. We talked about this before, and one of those changes coming in is there are no heats outside of the opening race that we're seeing tonight, which are the duels. Obviously, with everything that is changed here, they shortened the calendar by 9 races, or actually by 11 races, excuse me. They got rid of the heats. Obviously, we saw how controversial the heats could be at points. They decided to just kind of do away with those and focus on the actual main event itself. So we're going to see that. We're going to see a lot of that tonight. We're going to see a lot of that this season. This race has become a little bit more special because of that. So we're seeing a little bit more flair being brought to the 250. Obviously, and sort of just a reminder here, this race that everyone's preparing for is 2 weeks away. They're off next week. Next week is the big game. So they don't want to intervene with that. So there's going to be an off week here. And then once the season begins on the 18th, it is straightforward business all the way through the rest of the season. On track now, Brian Torchia, New York native.
Yep. Brian
The
Torchia,
eighth and final independent car trying to make it in.
Yep. Right now, currently, the front two right now at the moment are Smeal and Hawk. We'll see how in question if Brian can try to put himself in that front row at the moment. Right now, looking okay right now at the moment, but obviously times can change, and we'll see how he pushes this through the last couple sections here. But Brian, coming off the 3 and 4 here, going to be the last of this group to go. We'll have another recycle here in a second for the next couple cars. But as he comes across the line, it is going to be P7 for the 82 machine, so not going to be good enough to get himself a front row spot, and he will also have to race in the duels. No guaranteed spot for him.
All right, so there's 8 cars that have set their times on the board. Again, all of them marked in red. Now we're going to see a lot of the cars marked in black. These are team entries. There were 9 teams, an expansion from 7 in 2023. So we went from having 32 cars to 36. And obviously the independents, they can try to race their way in, but they're not guaranteed by any stretch of the imagination. Think of it almost like the charter system, but a little bit more free-flowing than what you would typically expect.
Because, for instance, last season we saw certain drivers, obviously, when there were different switches and how certain points were switch outs. So after a certain distance, the driver could get dropped or replaced for another driver. So the ride itself is guaranteed, but the driver itself is not per se. So at the very least, a team can guarantee at least 4 entries into every race so far this season. That will bring us nicely onward to the first car in this group of the locked-in machines, the ones that have their seat at the table, full-time competitors. Brian Rupert driving the number 1 machine for, obviously, a new season. If I had that document saved somewhere, there it is. It's for Black Acid Racing, bringing in the 1. Obviously, a bit of a number switch, which we saw last season. The 1 was in the camp of Sunday Money Racing, but obviously numbers and things change. So that is how it will switch up in accordance. Obviously, even Sunday Night Racing, no longer a team as well, as they got a rebrand with a fresh coat and name. But Brian Rupert on track here. Let's see what he can do. Looking good, at least coming up to his lap here. Obviously, he stays high to the wall, wants to make sure he gets himself a good entry. Now, going to start his lap. Foot down in the bush number 1. Definitely showing a little bit of inspiration from Ross Chastain and Harvick, because obviously the long bush is more of a Harvick scheme. But so what he can do here is looking good right now, trying to pin it low. You don't want to shave off speed. You want to keep that car on that apex, keep it nice, and keep it steady. So if you shave off speed, it can be the difference between starting up front or having to come from the back.
Brian Rupert, the first team car to attempt to run here, Black Acid Racing on the board.
This is going to come across here. Can he bump the independents? Can he put himself firmly on pole across the line? That will be P4. So he will not have to race his way through. No guaranteed front row spot for him. but at the very least, he's guaranteed the race in 2 weeks' time. Moving on nicely to Connor Knowlton for Line Power Motorsports, driving in the number 2. Again, another bit of number change as well. The 2 was in the camp of Presidential Racing last season, as they really wanted to run those Penske-affiliated numbers, but now the 2 is in Line Power's camp. So, be interested to see how he drives that Interstate Batteries machine, and with the 2 now being in a different camp and a different manufacturer altogether, we'll see how it all plays.
Keeping it right there on the yellow line.
And obviously, a good chunk of these drivers we're going to see roll off here early are rookies and drafted a little bit later in the draft. And we don't have as much information as we probably do, but we know when they took these drivers in the draft, they did at least a little bit of homework on them. They knew something about it. And obviously, Line Power felt confident with Connor Knowlton. Felt like he could bring a good force to this team. So as he comes across here, can he put himself on the front row, across the line? And it's going to be P4. So we'll bump down Rupert, and now he will technically be the fastest of the locked-in cars, currently sitting in P4. Now moves nicely to the number 3 car, Stefan Oberstadt, bringing back the same number he ran last season, but in a different team this season with Carolina Beagle Racing, a new team on the grid. We'll see what he can do, as he is technically, I believe, the owner of that team. So we'll see what he can do here. Obviously, he won at Talladega last season, driving for B-Tron. Now with his new team, new owner as himself, we'll see what he can do at number 3. Making a bit of a different paint scheme too. Usually ran a lot of darker, blacker schemes. Now running a blue and gold machine. Very fancy looking indeed. As he comes through 3 and 4. And now again, keep an eye on the bottom right of your screen. That's your MPH right now. Shows you kind of the speed these cars are running through the corner. And you, again, we said it before, Carmen said it, I've said it. You want to hold that line, keep it low, and not shave off speed. You want to keep it nice and condensed at a certain MPH and keep that number as high as you can in the corner. We'll see if he did enough here. Stefan crossed the line. P8, so not as fast as he'd like to go. And he'll now be, at least at the moment, sitting at P8. That'll move us nicely to the next car in line. It's probably going up in numerical order to number 4 of Austin Mongold. Austin Mongold driving for B-Tron Racing this season. Same number he ran last season, though, but in a different team, one of the last picks for B-Tron, and is now going to try to prove his worth to this team here, and the team that is the defending Driver Series champion, along with, not the construction, but had the team that had the driver that won the championship last season, and is looking to try to keep that championship in-house here.
And this is going to be a very interesting sort of dilemma. Jeremy Breo announced today that there's a technical issue that he's got going on. He's going to be out for the foreseeable future. Ooh. So this team, while it looks strong on paper, could be floating around a little bit. Could be spinning its wheels. I don't think it'd be safe to say that they may not be as dominant as they were at this race last season to kick things off.
We've seen Breo, as we'll see Austin Mongold cross the line here. We'll hold that thought for just a second to see where he puts himself. He puts himself in P8. But to kind of finish that point, though, we've seen him at plate races throughout the ABN calendar we've covered. We saw him at HTL Trucks Daytona. We saw him at the A-Squared Daytona race last season. We've seen him throughout. He's kind of a workhorse. He kind of, I don't say demands, but he's able to direct traffic, make people move, and get results when he needs to for his team and his teammates. And B-Tron was very strong at the plates last season, and they do got some strong drivers in one of the cars right now. Speaking of one, another B-Tron race driver, Jonathan Adams, is a rookie coming into the season, but not having that veteran leadership, you're left with, right now at the moment, obviously, Adams, Hagan, and Mongold. And again, Hagan, strong driver. We saw him being able to control the lines at Talladega just a couple weeks ago in HTL. Austin Mongold won Atlanta in the trucks in HTL. So there is some strong plate drivers, but not having that veteran leadership, that A-Square know-how in the field is definitely going to hurt when you have 3 rookies lining up for you. But as Jonathan Adams comes across the line, that's going to be P3. And again, almost in a dead heat for the top 3. But again, just not enough to split it. He will not be on the front row, and he'll have to try to put himself in. Moving nicely to the number 9 of Seth Wanzing. Looks like you got Sunday Monday Racing written down here. Looks like it says, from my record, Tombstone Motorsports. But regardless, he is the owner of said team. Came within a fraction of a hair from putting another trophy in his cabinet last season, just a couple of corners short from beating Tommy Reynolds. That is going to sting for the 2-time champion that was looking to make it 3. But new seasons, new challenges, new rewards. I think the one thing he's looking for at the very least is not to try to wait as long to get that victory that plagued him so long last season. Looking to try to get that number 9 in victory lane a little bit quicker. running that Miller Lite scheme that brought him praise and promise last season. And we could see what the Missouri man can do and get that 9 maybe on the pole here.
Let's see what lap time we can get in. Yeah, that is a late development as well. So Tombstone Motorsports, an HTL team owned by Blake Henderson. Seth Wanzing managing the A Squared Cup side of things as that team expands. Wanzing went top of the board.
Yep.
You want to know what that's like? Seth Wanzing means business, and he's starting out hot. Provisional pole, but it's all fractional at this point. Pelletier Sharp up next.
Yep. Big jump there in numbers. You usually think you'd see numbers around 10, 11, 12, but obviously Ryan Pennell not here at the moment. We're going to go a little bit later in the line order. We'll move nicely to the 18. First car for the newly debuting Gear Cats. Obviously not a new team by any stretch of the imagination. They've run in a lot of the competitions, including A Squared Champ Car machinery as well. But first time they've appeared in the A Squared Cup Series here. Obviously Emma Kruger runs the whole for the team, but with that 18 running a very unsponsored machine, you think they would have at least some pretty colors on it. Sharp looking to try to put this thing on the front row here and be the first driver to really take it a lap here and try to be the highest first driver to put down a qualifying lap in A Square Cup Series for Gear Cats as we cross the line here. Had to get that sentence out. P4 for Alyssa Pelletier Sharp. Not going to be good enough for the front row, and she'll have to try to race her way up higher in the duels. So that will move us nicely as we get online. As you see the track stats right now here, obviously you can see on the screen here, wind about 9 miles an hour here. Cool though on the temperature, so not too big of a grippy surface, but that 9-8 mile an hour wind is definitely going to play a bit of a factor here. Could disrupt these cars just a tiny bit. So you got to keep that in mind as these cars rip around this track. Other than that, 56 degrees outside, 71 degrees on track. Other than that, pretty picture perfect night in South Florida. Moving nicely to Kevin Feemster in the 21. Obviously a driver that drove for Presidential Racing last season, now in a new home with Prophecy Motorsports, but qualified for the playoffs last season, looking to try to take that step up and maybe get a win this season and make it so he gets in the playoffs a little bit quicker and a little bit sooner. But as the 21 crosses the line here, where will he put said 21 for Feemster? And it's going to be P2, so he will lock out the front row at the moment. Him and Seth Wanzing be 1-2, but obviously with so many cars still to go here, that could easily change. But good run by Feemster. At the very least, we're starting towards the front for either the race or the heats.
Up next is Brandon Proudfoot on the board. See what he can do. Proudfoot 182 miles an hour there through turns 1 and 2. He got that car wound up pretty good on his warm-up lap. Tommy Withers up next in the 23.
Speaking of Brandon Proudfoot, as you can see on the screen, if you were not here last week, he ended up winning the Clash. Obviously, I wasn't here last week. I read it through the ABN website where you can hear all the news and breaking news. ABN Esports, also the social medias as well. Go visit and follow either one, but won the Clash and ended up putting a good run here, trying to keep that momentum and positive momentum going here as he crosses the line for Tombstone Motorsports. And it's going to be P8, so not as good of a run as he probably hoped, but still at the very least in the top 10 at the moment. Moving nicely to Tom, as Carmen was saying earlier, Tommy Withers, as he is going to start one of his flyers now. He ended up winning Las Vegas last season in A Squared, as you can see on the screen here. Got a win early, made the playoffs, couldn't really capitalize that into much as he ended up getting a slight bounce early on. But with a similar team as he ran last season, I think he was with Prophecy Motorsports last season as well. So obviously similar team, similar everything, looking to try to keep that momentum going from last season, maybe take a 1-win into a 2-win, or maybe getting a little bit of a deeper playoff run here. But he's on the backstretch here, looking good all right at the moment. We'll check his 3 and 4s here for times. Got to keep that speed, want to keep it above 180, the quickest, earliest you can here. Quick dip there, but he held it at least halfway. So we'll see what he can do here as he comes off the 4 here. And just looking at that left side of the screen, just how close it is between 1st and 10th. About 2 tenths separate most of the field here, so you got to make sure you keep it careful, calm and collect if you want to show yourself a good time.
Just went top of the board
by a wide margin.
Well, a wide margin, comparatively speaking, but Withers top of the board, provisional pole for car 23. Richie Catania up next.
Yep.
Not a rookie. Took part in the 2022 season. in car number 24, the car that he was in when he ran last in 2022. I think Catania also filled in a couple of races last season as well, getting warmed up in this 7th generation car. Floated really high out of turn 2 there. Not wanting to fight this car at all, trying to maximize all of that speed, but I think he's going to lose a lot more time than that. Going through this next gen racing, led by Josh Garrison. Catania going to try to put the car on the board, see where he's at. And you see the top 3, all of them team rides. Prophecy, Tombstone. I think Feemster's another Prophecy car, so.
Yes, that is correct. I'll confirm it. He is Props Motorsports, so they kind of close numbers have allowed them good opportunities here. As a 24 across the line here, it's going to slot him in P12, so not the best run he could have hoped, but at the very least, again, seat at the table confirmed. Just going to try to get as much of a improvement he can in the duels. Moving nicely to Daniel Michel. Last win came in Bristol. Won a couple races last season. Also is going to be the last winner in A squared at the Big Fontana. So he's got that for his record and his accomplishments at the very least. 25 obviously running with a different team this season. No longer with Sunday Money Racing / Tombstone Motorsports now, as they officially, name change and all that. It's now with Lion Power Motorsports under the protege of Tom Sears. And Sears knows how to get strong performances out of drivers that are great at road courses and good at ovals. And Michelle obviously is great at ovals and road courses, so could definitely be a diamond in the rough for Sears and Lion Power to try to repeat as Constructors champions. But as the 25 comes off of 3 and 4, we'll see where he can slot said 25 machine. And it's going to be P13 for the Rookie of the Year last year. So P13 going to have a little bit of time to improve. Now moving on to the 33, Adele Markowski. A Squared Cup Series rookie here. Obviously he's running a few other series occasionally, but this is his first attempt at a full season in A Squared, as he is driving for, it's going to be Black Acid Racing. So another Black Acid Racing car here. 2nd out of 4 we will see tonight. But right now going to try to take that 33 and see if he can go a little bit further up the field than his teammate did. Yeah, looking in the chat right now, Feemster kind of puts a quote out there saying Prophecy Motorsports got some speed. And right now, at the very least, it does show that, at least to a degree, that they definitely found something in the Super Speedway package to try to get these cars competitive. But as Markowski is coming across here through 3 and 4, going to finish his lap here, across the line, it's going to be a time in question. I'm trying to see exactly where it is.
He went 3rd fastest. 49.29 is where he went there. So
Lost
really
him in the sea of numbers. Yep. Good run there. Not on front row, though, but at the very least, will give himself a good spot for the heats. Moving on to the Bahama man, Alfred George, rocking a new number here. Drove the 22 for most of the last season. Still with the same Presidential Racing, but now rocking the 40. Still Pennzoil Machinery sponsored machine, though, so nothing has really changed other than number. Best finish, a 6th at Kansas. Looking to try to improve on that. Came so close to a top 5 a couple times last season. Looking to truly get one of those top 5s, or maybe even get a win. And obviously a new season starts a new dawn and a new chapter. So definitely put last season behind you, learn what you picked up on, try to put it forward with another good step. And we'll see what that 40 can do here as he's coming off 3 and 4 to put down a time.
Yeah, he's slowly been improving more and more. Obviously, moving from the 6th gen car to the 7th gen was a wild turn of events, and obviously with how crazy last season was, it felt like he just got lost in the shuffle. This time through, he will go 12th fastest on his run. So he's injected himself to the front of the field. The important thing about all this, though, is we see all these drivers move through. Patrick Oberstadt next for Carolina Beagle Racing. It's brothers Oberstadt running the show over there. Patrick, a race winner in the Saturday Night Showdown series here at Daytona a couple seasons ago. Trying to do the same here in 2 weeks' time. Would love to get into the front row and not have to worry about the duels coming up here later on in the broadcast. But an important thing, so there's four independent spots available in the starting grid for the Daytona 250 in 2 weeks. All of them are open.
Yeah.
All of them are up for grabs. No one's secured of those 8 that try to make it in. So that's a very important statistic. You're going to see a lot of those drivers, especially if it's very heavy-sided to one duel or the other, Going to be very heavy-handed to see who's going to make it in there, because only 2 per duel make it in.
Yeah. And if there's more than on a duel in question, yeah, if it's heavy-handed, it could easily play an effect at a certain point, obviously, unless it's 7-1 and 1 and the other, then obviously times or something else to play a factor, or 3 and 1. But yeah, you got to kind of get the luck of the draw and hope that at the very least you're in the better duel on the other side. But as the 41 crosses the line there and finishes lap, that's going to put himself on the front row, and it's going to bump Seth Wanzing out of the provisional front row here, and he'll have to race his way for an improvement in the duels. But I can confirm at least one thing, as I heard in the pipeline, Seth Wanzing is more than happy to be an in-car reporter anytime for this season, so definitely he would be good to provide some good thoughts and insights. But anyway, moving on to David Wright next for Prophecy Motorsports. Brought back the team here again, same almost everything that he ran last season. Obviously, won the last race we did at Daytona in the cutoff race. So obviously knows a way or two to try to get a win here, as that gave him a second win heading into the playoffs and helped him kind of give him that momentum to propel himself further into the playoffs, and ended up falling just short of making the Final Four. So looking to take steps on that. But as he crosses the line here in the 42, it's going to be P5 for the right man, and that's going to put himself not on the front row, but definitely, again, in an all-right spot when the duels kick off in a couple minutes time, or at least half a minute time. Moving on nextly to the 44, Joshua Garrison. Next Gen Racing team owner and leader. Obviously a bit of a switch of hands, as going into the draft, we thought that team was going to be owned and ran by someone else. He stepped up, ended up taking the ownership of that team, and is now basically the boss that calls his shots, and picking LaJoy, Painter, and Richie Catania to drive for that team. And obviously we see here best finish at 10th last season, came oh so close at winning the spring Daytona race, where he came oh so close to winning it and putting himself in the playoffs. Obviously, again, new season for the 44 car, obviously running a different number, and also a new team. We'll see what he can do here in regard, and see if he can get himself a good start for the season here.
Rolling towards start-finish line here. Michael Lawrence up next after this. Now 22nd, not a great lap from Garrison, but it didn't seem like he was trying to go for a fast lap there. He was very floaty off the bottom of the track. He wasn't trying to really hug that yellow line like what we've seen others do. Michael Lawrence winding it up here. Another GearCats car.
Yep.
Rolling through.
Another GearCats car. Another rookie for GearCats. One of 2 in that team, the other one being Alyssa Pelletier-Sharp that we saw earlier. But obviously Sharp ran a lot of other series under the ABN banner. Michael Lawrence, not so much, but obviously first time for anything for the California person, and we'll see what he can do here and see what he can put down a time here. Yeah. At least the positive is sorry to cut you off, Carmen. I just want to say, at least the positive is he's running in the number that won last year's real life 500. So maybe that can put himself in at least a slightly positive mode, knowing that, hey, that car at least has won on the high banks in real life. So maybe that could help him out here.
Yeah, we'll see what Cheeseburger Michael Lawrence can do. Rolling across the line, the Dutch Bros 47 goes front row provisionally. Ooh. So you want to talk about it, you might have something there. Ended up
tying the time of Tommy Withers, so good run overall for him. We'll see if anyone can beat that. Next up, Jacob Delgado, A-Squared Cup Series rookie, driving for Tombstone Motorsports. Last pick for Tombstone in the team in question, but obviously Seth probably doesn't consider him a worse pick than that. Obviously a good driver in his own rights here, looking to try to put himself in a good spot here. Looking at the kind of the order here at the very least, worth noting, at the very least, out of all the open cars that have qualified, 2 are still inside the top 10 in both Smeal and Hook, and Selena Thompson is also inside the top 12. Yeah. So at the very least, they're showing that they have some speed in those open cars and could be a threat if they can make the field. They could easily maybe steal something, basically, I should say.
Right now,
keep this a family friend show.
Right now, it's 3 in the first duel, 5 in the second duel for the independent cars. So not completely balanced, not completely even, but they are working on it. Yeah, right now, and it still shifts here a little bit. Now it's 5 and 3 in favor of the first duel, with Delgado going 18th fastest on the board there. That's the 52 car. Up next now on the board, I believe we have to look through. I believe it might be Josh Gaiman. It is Josh Gaiman.
I was going to say, I thought it was Josh Gaiman going alphabetically in numbers here. Obviously, the 60 was an open car, so the 61 will be the next one, and that is going to be Joshua Gaiman. Again, first pick, back-to-back A-squared drafts. First pick by Gear Cats, obviously a different team. Drove for Beatron last season, now driving for Gear Cats. Came again oh so close to winning a championship last season too. Just a bad strategy called late, ended up costing him in the teeth. But again, wants to put that self behind him, try to keep this momentum going and bring home a championship that he feels like he could easily win. Pennsylvania man going to come high through 3 and 4 here. Going to try to set himself a time here. Is actually, I think the 60 actually just set a time. So
yeah,
the 60 actually
Ross Baxter just went top of the board. We couldn't see him.
So, sorry, Ross. Ross Baxter, we'll just quickly, as we see the 61 go around here to start his lap, we'll give a quick little fill-in on the 60 machine here. 60, obviously, for Line Power Motorsports. Last pick for Ross Baxter. Ross Baxter is a rookie this season, so obviously we don't have as much information as we probably should. But very fast drivers. We can clearly see just went pole position by a good bit. Bumps Cheeseburger Lawrence off the front row. Now it's up to Josh Gaiman to try to beat that time if he wants to go through the front row. So good job, Ross. Put down a great time. Sorry we missed you, but we won't miss you if you keep that time. We won't miss you when the real race happens in 2 weeks' time.
Josh Gaiman racing for Gear Cats right now. Going through 3 and 4. We'll see what his lap time looks like here. Out of turn 4. Across start finish line now.
Oh,
top of the board.
Yeah.
There you go. Talk about winding it up. The time has gotten faster successfully. Dustin Painter up next.
Yep, we missed one pole lap, but we at least got the other pole lap. But that's the front row at the moment. Gaiman and Baxter, and now Painter up next.
I love this paint already.
Yeah, it's a pretty paint right now. Looking at it.
I love it. For those that don't know, I had my first trip to Texas back in Halloween. Got to visit Buc-ee's. Kevin got to visit Buc-ee's when he went down to Daytona for the 24. So yeah.
Yeah. As if I didn't stop, you would have gave me an earful. So I was like, on the first day I was there, I was like, all right, it's legitimately right there. Let's just go see what all the hubbubaloo is about. At the very least, I can say they had great breakfast food. Definitely good everything else there. Only thing I still don't really understand the hype of is having 1/4 of the store be Buc-ee's merchandise, but hey, it clearly works for them in other areas. Yeah, it sells. Can't complain about that. So it's the Buc-ee's. Yeah, the Buc-ee's Dustin Painter machine obviously won at Atlanta last year. Could not compete in the playoffs due to a scheduling issue, but here, hopefully here full time, cross the line to 65, and it's going to be a time of 22nd. So not a good run, but hopefully you can find that Buc-ee's speed as the race continues on. Moving on nicely to the next car that just crossed the line here. It's going to be the 71 of Josh Battles. Josh Battles, the Alabama man, currently an A-Squared Cup Series rookie as well. He is riding the black and paint machine as he is driver for Black Acid Racing. So 3 out of 4, we'll probably see his, looking at the numbers here, I think his team boss will be up next, as unless Breo's got a fill-in person, it is going to be Kerr up next. So 2 back-to-back Black Acid Racing machineries. Going to go 1-2 here. So we'll see what Battle can do. The rookie of the group here, well, one of the rookies, along with Markowski, we'll see what he can do.
I mean, that car hooked right to the bottom there, floats it a little bit there on the exit of 4. We'll see how much that costs him here, not holding the white yellow line at all there into the tri-oval. Crosses it here, 21st, just right ahead of Daniel Michel. We'll put him in 21st here, so we'll have to try to race for a better spot in the duels.
Speaking of James Kerr, there he is right now. Ended up winning at Fontana 2 years ago. So it's been a little bit of ways away. It's actually coming up in a couple weeks. It'll be the 2-year anniversary since his last win. He is itching to get another win here. And again, new season, new opportunity, new chance. We'll see what the 75 and team owner of Black Acid Racing can do with his qualifying lap here, and maybe get that provisional monkey off the back and get a win and give himself basically no sweats for the rest of the season until the playoffs come around. But we're looking at the comments right now. Someone in the question was asking what the cut line is. There is no cut line. If you see a car in black on the left of your screen right there, they are a confirmed ride. They basically have a charter. We'll use a NASCAR terminology. They have a charter. They are in for the race in 2 weeks' time. Only thing we're seeing after this is the front 2 get in. I'm mucking this up. First 2 in their position. Everyone else has to race their way in through the duels and find their times. If you have a black number box, you are in the race in 2 weeks' time. Only thing that could change is your position. If you have a red battle box, you are an independent car. You have to get in and race your way in. 2 cars will advance in each heat. So the first heat in the second week, the 2 fastest cars with the red battle box next to your name, the independents, they will get in. So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out, but you have to be the fastest in your duels to get into the show. Out of the 8 independent cars, only 4 will make the show. So it's James Kerr. Hopefully that explanation made sense. Obviously, we'll remind you guys and gals and whoever else, non-binary pals, as Carmen would say, in the field, we'll remind you as the race and the duels clued on. But as James Kerr comes off of 3 and 4 right now, we'll see where that 75 car can slot himself.
Yeah, James Kerr right now looking to try to get himself into a good starting spot. 20th, not quite it. He'll right now sit in Duel 2, but that's the magic about this race. The duels leading into this, the duels coming up after this qualifying session, give you an opportunity. Give you a free card with Kenneth Cheney up next on the board, I believe, and unless he's not qualifying. I don't see him on the track here.
Yeah, I don't see him either. 75 is still doing a warm lap. Looks like Zier is getting the all clear to go ahead here, so Kenneth Cheney is not qualifying. So Cheney obviously is confirmed in the field as, again, the rookie for team in question. I will confirm, obviously, a lot of new drivers, a lot of new faces. That is for Carolina Beagle Racing. So at the very least, not qualifying. We'll have to start from the back of this duel, but at least, again, guaranteed to see in 2 weeks' time. Now, Lilacs here. A-Squared Cup Series rookie, but not a rookie to the ABN audience is here. She is definitely a fast cookie and definitely shown some strength in both Adbox Cup Series, HDL Cup Series, HDL Truck Series. Whatever she seems to drive, she can definitely put it in a good spot here. And some would even say maybe a steal as a late race pick for Presidential Racing. Could easily be a driver that's looking to get that team a victory as they went, they didn't go winless last season. Proudfoot ended up getting a win for Presidential Racing, but could end up joining the Winners Club at Presidential Racing. So Azir going to come across out of 3 and 4 here, going to start her lap. We'll see what she can do. And looking to see who is left after her, looks like not many faces are left here.
Just Pacey Wygent.
I was going to say, just Pacey Wygent, as Cheney obviously did not qualify, and Katani also didn't qualify. So at the moment, if Zier cannot bump out either Gaiman or Baxter, that at the very least confirms Joshua Gaiman, our first round draft pick, or at least the first overall pick for the A-Squared Cup Series draft, will have a guaranteed front row spot in 2 weeks' time. So we'll see. It's up to Zier to try to bump her way in and bump out. Right now, look at the speeds, though. Not the greatest out of 3 and 4 there. Not feeling overconfident, but looks like she's done an okay job at least to get a little on the exit. See what that 8-9 car can do.
Yeah, for like here, she's won in everything she's raced in an ABN competition. For a race winner in ABN Champ Car, race winner in HTL across multiple series, race winner in the Saturday Night Showdown series last season. She'll start 24th.
Yeah.
Is where she's qualified. Wygent up next.
Wygent, interesting case. We know he's got speed at the place tracks, as I personally have watched a lot of HTL Truck Series. Very fast, and it looks like one car said he was going to the end of pit lane here, so maybe it's not the end yet. But Wygent can get the speed out of the qualifying runs here at these plate races. So we'll see what he can do here through 1 and 2 right now. Obviously running a similar number he runs in HTL. Obviously a rookie here in A-Squared. See what the 00 can do for Carolina Beagle Racing. 3 and 4 right now, keeping those speeds up. But again, kind of dropping a little bit too much speed going into the corner, so not a favorable opportunity here. And I don't like the odds this will be a pole lap, but I've seen stranger things happen. So as he comes off in 3 and 4 through the trial, where will that 00 slot?
24th.
Going to be P24, so it makes me wonder the track may have fell off just a bit here as Battles, Wygent, Zier, all in that kind of late 20 spot here. And even, yeah, so it could maybe think maybe the track fell off a bit here and favored higher up. But then considering the 61 and the 60 qualified higher up, so you never know in this situation with dynamic tracks.
The weather obviously helped out Josh Gaiman. Just the top pole award for the first time this season will go to Gaiman. Ross Baxter will also be locked into the front row.
I think we'll have one more car? Or I think that was final qualifying.
To see.
Because I heard
have to wait on Kenneth Cheney to either jump in or Tristan Catania, and Catania is on track.
Yep, I
He
heard
is
final
a very
car.
late join in.
Yep, I heard final car, so I wanted to make sure we were clear. So at the very least, that confirms one thing, is Catania gets booted up here. Obviously, he was
Gaiman's
the
in.
last. Yep, Gaiman is in. We'll confirm that. Obviously, Catania was the last pick in the A-Square draft, as he was the last pick for Profis Motorsports. Obviously, try to be Mr. Irrelevant, and it's worked out in the real-life sports world with Brock Purdy being Mr. Irrelevant and maybe not leading his team to a Super Bowl, but at the very least being part of a Super Bowl squad. So we'll see here what Catania can do here. Maybe he can try to at least lead this team to some glory here. Profis Motorsports obviously had some speed here, as we've seen through themes during the rest, kind of sounding the horns here. So we'll see what the 648 can do for said Profis Motorsports. So at the very least, again, as he kind of gets around here going through 1 and 2 on his money lap here, Gaiman guaranteed at least first or second. Baxter waiting on bated breath on the pit box here. The question is, will he be joining the front row guaranteed spots, or will he get bumped for the 48? So
He's
it'd be
2
61,
slower.
60.
He's 2 tenths slower on the first half of the lap compared to the front row. They were in 20.
Not looking good.
They were in 24.4s. He's in 24.6s.
Yeah,
That
not
was the
looking
first
good.
half. So this is going to be about mid-20s, I think, for Catania. New Jersey
Probably.
native around across the line will confirm what we knew, 31st, even worse.
Oh,
So
God.
Josh Gaiman is now confirmed the Just the Top Pole Award winner for the first time of 25 races. The hunt's on.
Yep.
36 cars set times. The only car that didn't, Kenneth Cheney. And again, there's several chartered entries that are not present tonight that will be present 2 weeks from now for the actual 250.
Mm-hmm.
So it is still all to fight for those 8 independent cars. No
Yeah.
one of those 8 are safe just yet.
And I think you can tell us, because obviously you have a better updated numbers sheet than I do. What is the split looking for the heats here?
So right now, Smeal, Thompson, Gomez, Allen, and Mulkey. Those are the 5 in Heat 2. Heat 1's got 3, which is Davey
right.
Houck, Mark Dila, and Brian Torchia.
All right, so that basically shows you, and again, top 2 in each heat make it through. So obviously, the ones in the 3 heat, the first heat we're going to see first, definitely have a bit of an advantage at the very least, as they obviously have less cars to fight, and if you're in the 5, it's going to be a bit harder to try to get your way through there. So we'll have to see how it all plays, as that's going to be something to keep an eye on as we get ready to see these heats. Actually, I think we'll be ready to advance time shortly here, but it's going to be 30 laps for each heat. So not a lot of time to really make a move, but at least guarantees 1 pit stop for the field.
We will take a chance to talk to our Pole Award winner. The Just the Top Pole Award goes to Josh Gaiman here tonight. A fantastic effort. He is locked in now to the ARCS A-Squared 250. Josh, this is Carmen from the ABN booth. Got a copy.
I got you.
Alrighty, the hardest part of the weekend is over. You're on the front row. You're locked in here. What a performance there. Now, what does the effort turn into for the Gearcats team going into the rest of the night?
Yeah, I mean, you know, with me getting the pole, it's kind of my choice whether I race or not with the duels here. So I'm definitely gonna, you know, do it just to get the track time, get around people, and you know, get my ARCS legs back under me for A-Squared, and see what we can do. You know, definitely try to stick together if we're all. I think they're both in the second race, so it won't really matter anyways. But yeah, I guess I'll just use it to get track time, and just see what I can do, you know, by myself, and with the team it'll be a whole lot easier.
Obviously for you, it's all about track time. A lot of new faces in here. Who's really kind of grabbed your eye as someone you could potentially work on or work with in this first duel, and just sort of who are you trying to gauge the most here going into this this really big learning experience?
I mean, a lot of the new guys that came in this season, I'll definitely be trying to just scope out, and because there's a bunch of guys here that I definitely have, you know, I mean, I spent a whole year racing with them pretty much, so it you know, maybe some of those guys have gotten better, you know, we'll see how that goes, but there's a lot of new faces, and I'd like to see, you know, some of them do good, because they were really good in the preseason, so it'll be fun to battle them all year.
Well, obviously, you've got a little bit of work to do here going into this. A lot of gauging, a lot of evaluation to go into this race. First time we're seeing everyone on track together at obviously a track that's going to mean a whole lot here in 2 weeks' time. Josh, good luck on that. Congrats on your first Just the Top Pole award for 2024. As we mentioned earlier, a really good start of the season at the Clash last week. Continuing that form here tonight.
Yeah, see if we can push to that last spot and, you know, maybe get a win this week and next week, or 2 weeks from now.
Alrighty, Josh, good luck, and we'll be seeing you very soon.
Thank you.
That was Josh Gaiman, the Just the Top Pole Award winner for 2024, the ARCS Daytona 250. He will start in the front row alongside Ross Baxter. They ran very good times and were able to separate themselves from the top of the field here tonight. All right, now it's time for the duel.
Yeah. The best part of Speed Weeks, you could say, in the virtual world and the real life world, duel time.
So let's get into it.
Yeah, 19 cars. We'll take a quick look at where everyone is. Obviously, as we heard from Josh Gaiman in his interview, he will take part, so he will be on the front row, but obviously cannot lose his spot at the seat of the table. He'll be starting at least P1 for in 2 weeks' time. Moving down, where we got Tommy Withers, he will join him on the front row, and he will be the first car. It would be in third if the race were to conclude. Moving on down, we got Patrick Oberstadt and Dale Markowski in row 2. Kevin Feemster and Davey Hawk, first of the independent cars. Jonathan Adams and Brandon Proudfoot, Etheridge George and Brian Rupert in row 5, James Kerr and Josh Battles in row 6. For that second to spin down here.
Give me 1 second here. We'll get through this, and then we got Lilac Zero and Dustin Painter in row 7. Mark Dila.
And then
there you
Mark
go.
Dila and Christian Catania in row number 8. Joshua Garrison and Brian Torchia in row number 9. And Kenneth Cheney, last of the cars, did not qualify. He will be in P19. And there you see the 3 drivers in question that we have to keep an eye on. Mark Dila, Brian Torchia, and third car in question, it was blanking, Davey Hawk were the 3 cars in question. 2 of them will guarantee themselves a seat at the table in 2 weeks' time for the 500. 1 of them will have to pack up their hauler and head home. Virtually home. They'll probably still be home, but virtually go home, and they will not make the A-Square 250 in 2 weeks' time. No stages. Just in case anyone was curious, there are no stages. If anyone, because obviously sometimes you never know. No stages, 30 laps. Cautions will be thrown by control. That is pretty much it. Now, obviously, as Carmen has called a lot of duels herself, I have seen a handful of duels as well. It's usually the tale of 2 halves. This first duel will kind of indicate what the second duel is going to be like. If this first duel is chaotically messy, it's going to be probably peace and sunshine and rainbows in the second one. If this duel is peaceful and sunshine and rainbows, the next duel is going to be chaotic and messy. You can never have both duels be nice and clean. One duel will have to have a little bit of chaos to it. The question is, which one will it be?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Obviously, we talk about a lot of new faces. These are faces that may not... They may be new to ARCS, but they may not be new to each other. So some drivers will already have a little bit of a heads up as far as who they want to work with going into this. We talked about preseason, the off-season, the wintertime. There was some testing that was going on to really get everyone prepared for this. We're about to see all of that go to work here. Obviously, some drivers coming in, they used HTL as a bit of a de-ruster. If you look at the likes of Jonathan Adams, you look at Lilac Zier, who is in championship contention. They're all behind Josh Gaiman and Tommy Withers. And as they come down to take the green flag, Duel 1 at Daytona is underway.
Yep.
Trouble immediately. Caution is out. And it is a disaster for some drivers already. Del Markowski, Tristan Catania, Brian Torchia.
Remember, one of those three is an independent car in Brian. That thing looks at least a little bit wounded in the front. So I'll have to see again, they can get that nice and fixed up. They do have a fast pair though, so at the very least, there's one fast pair in the driver's back pocket. But if you're Brian and the others, Markowski obviously already came in the pit lane, you don't want to end up burning it if you don't want to. But again, it's a rock and a hard play situation for those cars. Burn it now, try to make it work. So we'll take a look at the replay here. Right now we're focused on said 82 of Byron.
It's a little bit further ahead.
Yeah, he piled in, I was going to say.
there.
So it looks like we're focused on Markowski right now at the moment. Keep an eye on him on that high side right there. And you can see that Bass Pro Machine kind of gets on his corner panel just a bit.
Yeah, that's netcode. That is netcode all the way between Markowski and Davey Howick. James Kerr gets a piece of it.
Yep, and at this point, it comes to track block. Cars are on the brakes. Garrison almost kind of hits the back of that Bush machine, the one. And everyone else seems to get relatively okay. So, other than a few minor damages for a few cars, Markowski obviously thought it was enough to come on in, take service. And he looks like he didn't even burn his fast pair on it. So he came in on the closed pits to make sure that car was fixed and didn't end up making it worse. Other than that, everyone else seems okay. And now, to live action, you see a handful of cars already coming in. Basically, probably take, at least maybe try to make a first pit stop here, an only pit stop, then maybe try to test it and see if they can stretch it or maybe get to the back while a handful of cars stay out, including Gaiman, Oberstadt, Patrick, Jonathan Adams, Kevin Feemster, Alfred George, Brian Rupert, and Josh Battles all stay out. So 1st to 7th, everyone else coming on in for service to either take probably fuel only or fix up their damages. Most cars leaving now. It's going to be Withers, Zier, Kerr, first three off, and they will all take fuel only, along with Proudfoot, Dela, Garrison, Painter. And Houck, Catania, and Byron in the 82 all fixing up their cars right here, so they are taking damage fixes, and 2 of them being open cars definitely play a bit of a factor here. So as the field gets nice and bunched up here, obviously not much of really a blink for Gaiman, per se. Kind of got going and then instantly took the wind out of sails, hoping to go a little bit longer this time around. But with this being the kind of, it's good to have these duels at the very least, because with the main 250 2 weeks away, it gives a lot of these drivers who only other opportunity to race against each other was a few practice sessions before the draft and the clash itself last week. It gives them a good opportunity to really practice with each other, because you got to trust the drivers around you if you want to be competitive and fast. If you can't trust what's around you and you think you're going to get a turn direct, it's just going to lead to a bad situation for you and all of the drivers around you. So it's good at the very least to get this kind of symmetric synergy and connection ironed down. So when 2 weeks time the 500 happens, 250 I should say, it will be definitely clean racing ahead. So obviously, first caution of the night, no cars were a lap down, so no one will get the lucky dog needed. Fuel get nice and bunched up here. Again, this top 7 did not come in. Everyone else did come in, took fuel only, excluding Catania, Hawk, and Torchia, as they all took damage repair and presumably tires while they were sitting there. Field now going to get bunched up here. Choose cone in effect, it seems. So Gaiman and Oberstadt will take the front row here. Adams and Feemster will be second. And it's going to be George and Battles, Zier and Withers, and Garrison will be your top 10. So we'll see how this all plays here. And again, restart worked well last time for the 61. We'll see if we can get another great restart here.
Another important thing, you saw this for the first time. No choose cone rule in effect for 2024. One of the rule changes coming in to the 2024. No choose cone rule in effect. There's no heats once we get beyond Daytona. No heat races to worry about. Going to be a lot more streamlined of a process here, because there's going to be a lot more cars on track once we get everything really kind of situated and ironed away.
I know somewhere right now, Chrissy is currently smiling, like just whatever she's doing right now. She just had a pop-up moment, like just with a smile on her
Her
face. knowing
spidey
that
senses were tingling there.
Yeah. Because it's weirdly in a weird situation. The 2 times she filled in A squared competition last season, both choose cone incidences, there was an incident. So it's a weird telekinesis senses when she's here. It always seems like the choose cone had a problem, but choose cone is gone for the season. As you see a car blinking, that's Joshua Garrison. Hopefully we can get that latency settled out here. But yeah, choose cone gone away. Another rule that is officially eliminated. So we'll see how this all plays. So as the pace car will pull on in, it's going to be under Gaiman's control.
It's Gaiman, Overstat, Feemster, Adams, top 4.
Mm-hmm.
Approaching the restart zone, and away we go. Adams right to the bumper of Gaiman, helping push him through. Keep an eye on that 40. Now we're George. 30 line in the inside lane. That yellow submarine.
Mm-hmm. The rookie in question really making it happen. You can see Patrick really did not get going as he just got left at the altar there. Basically got jumped down the bottom lane. I think that was Feems that went away. So 41 just all high and alone that high side. Everyone else locking up on the bottom here. Question is, will it be the first car to pull out here? Looks like it's going to be Withers. And he's going to get joined by Feemster. So the Prophecy Motorsports machines going to lock up on this high side here. Going to get nose to tail and going to want to control that outside line. But right now struggling a bit to get linked up. They're also going to get joined by the one or Rupert. So they'll try to get towards the front here. All the Chevys going to stay up on the high side. And it's going to be a Toyota and a Ford on the low side, but Gaiman going to lead this lap. And right now the rookie in the number 8, even though maybe not a rookie. No, Ryan Racing, his Feemster got turned into the wall. Chaos behind him, battles around along with Rupert.
Yep, there's the trouble.
And that's multiple cars. Feemster's lost his bumper. Cars trying to avoid action here. Saw, as obviously the camera's on a different angle than I saw there. Feemster ended up going sideways, and at that point I was like, oh, everyone better hang on. Well, they didn't hang on, and at least a handful of cars got some good damage here. At least a positive for some of them. They have fast repairs, but obviously, again, too early to burn those. So we'll take a look here on the replay again.
Yeah,
you can
this
just
is
see
just sloppy. Yeah, this is...
Withers and Feemster.
Let's see if we can get a better angle than that. Let's see if we can get a chopper cam. Chopper cam's usually a little bit better. Yeah, this is going to be a really good shot. Withers, I'm not sure if he was trying to really get a run here on Feemster. It seems like he just gives Feemster a really nasty shot.
Because, yeah, they're teammates. It wouldn't make sense for him to try to get around set 21.
Yeah,
so
he gets right to that quarter panel early. He's shooting for a 3-wide gap here.
Mm-hmm.
And just tags him.
Mm-hmm. And at that point, it looks like it's saved, and then the 71 gets hit, and at that point, becomes a track blocker, and nowhere for the rest of Oberstadt to go there. So Oberstadt ends up going from the front row 2 laps later, involved in this incident in question. So definitely a bit of a kind of salt in the mouth moment there.
Well, right on board with Josh Battles, the 71 machine, first on board of the night, and this is right as he gets turned. And you see him just go for a wild ride.
Mm-hmm.
On board, Dustin Painter. Bucky's number 65 machine gets really close, but gets away with it.
Almost left a Bucky's bumper sticker on the back of Zier's machine there, but again, avoids it all. And we'll keep on chugging. One more look here, we'll ride from Patrick Oberstadt's perspective here. Again, obviously the Bucks machine of Painter was able to avoid the chaos. That's 41 though. Not going to be as good of a tail here. As you can see his puff of smoke, trying to get on the brakes, and at that point, when Feemster came up, it was just nowhere to go. He had to hope Feemster didn't slide up like that. Did, and in the 41. Luckily, didn't get as much damage as some of the cars around him, though. Should buff out in the wash.
Yeah, we're on board with Withers here, right behind Feemster. He's going to have a really good perspective of this.
It's weird because, again, team owner taking the teammate kind of too wide doesn't make much sense here. But, again, maybe had an opportunity. Maybe we're trying to switch lanes here. Gives him a shot,
but then moves to the outside and then just comes back in and just hooks him. Now, know where Brian Rupert can go either. He's an unsung casualty of that, too.
Yeah, third car on that line, just unlucky. So back to live action. You can see pit road, a bit of a crowded place here. Howe came back in to fix more damage. Kerr, Withers, Overset, Feemster, Rupert, and Battles, all not electing to use fast spares, all going to fix up their cars and try to save it just in case it gets more chaotic here. But back to live action, you can see what's worth noting at the very least is only Josh Gaiman is the only car right now yet to make a pit stop this race. Adams, Zier, George, and the rest of the field all came on in under that last service and all took fuel only, and except for the ones that took damage pair. But anyone else inside the 11th to 2nd all took fuel only. So Gaiman playing an odd strategy here. Going to be the only car, but obviously no real reason not to feel risking the dice here, as he's automatically guaranteed a front row spot next week. Oh, sorry, 2 weeks' time. So he doesn't really have to worry. He's just here for the checkered flag. Kind of basically, even though he's not technically the team owner, Kruger's probably in the headset right now just saying, look, win the race or bring back the steering wheel. It doesn't matter. And unlike in real life, you don't even have to worry about torch in the car. If the car gets destroyed, you're still going to take that front row. So no real penalty in trying a different strategy here to see if he can win this race and keep track position. But as the field gets bunched up here, it's going to be Gaiman and Adams in row 1, Zier and George in row 2. Then it's going to be Delea and Painter in row 3. Proudfoot and Garrison in row 4. Huck and Oberstadt row 5. That will be your first 5 rows. And also, speaking of, the 2 cars currently in at the moment have advanced through. Obviously, it can still change. But at the moment, those 2 drivers' names would be Delea and Huck, as they are currently 5th and 10th respectively, and the other open car, Byron, is currently in 13th. But with 22 laps to go, anything could still change, and all that positions can easily change, so a lot can be shaken up.
1 lap to green here. We'll have a chance. We'll be able to plug this while we have a caution in a moment. Weekly calendar coming up here. Obviously, we're at Daytona tonight. We'll be at Daytona next in 2 weeks' time as well. But here, there's everything coming up here on ABN 1 and ABN 2. A lot of seasons obviously be either ending or beginning here in the next couple weeks. Kentucky tomorrow and Tuesday. Texas on Wednesday, the ABN Champ Car World Series. HL National Series at Bristol. Then we have another open wheel series at Toronto on ABN 1 at noon on Saturday. And then the start of the Saturday Night Showdown competition at Rockingham on Saturday the 10th. That's the next week-in preview for everyone here on ABN 1. We encourage you to be in and watch and join us throughout the week. A lot of different locations, a lot of different places here as we get ready to go.
No, I'm going to have at least a little bit of virtual flyer miles to make at the very least. I know you'll have, and Carmen, you'll have a lot more to make. But anyway, as pace car going to get ready to pull on off here, it's going to be a Gaiman's control as well. Gaiman's, Adams, Zier, George, your first 2 rows here. We saw Adams give Gaiman a great push here. Can Zier reciprocate and what Adams did and give Gaiman a good push? Green flag is out, and away we go again with 21 to go. And yeah, interesting. Alfred George did not give a push, and they all slide on in here. So no fighting in the first 4 rows. Maybe saw what happened to Patrick Oberstadt. Didn't want to end up getting sliced into the back here, so all will slot in, and we'll keep them all on the inside line, at least for now, as the looks like the first top 7.
You see how important that was that they all worked together, because they got away from Garrison and company in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Right now you can see that outside line, second lane, second pack, I should say, not as organized. Patrick Oberstadt, obviously first car on that outside line here. They do have a bit more cars, but obviously a bit wounded. Patrick's probably going to be kind of told here soon, get in line here. We got to make sure we don't allow him to get too far away. And that gap is growing and growing quickly. It's already up to 2.20 away from Gaiman. And it's at least over a second. So they are losing the draft hand over fist. And now they're getting racy, which is never a good thing you want to do here. Maybe they don't feel confident with Garrison leading the train. Maybe someone else needs to lead this train to try to lead him to the promised land and make it work. But right, so we'll see how they can reorganize here. But most importantly, for the ones keeping an eye on the battle line here of who makes it and who's not in the independent lines, Delea is in the first pack while the other 2 cars are in the second pack. So right now, Delea kind of smiling like the cat that ate the canary, watching in his mirrors. The second groove here is getting very racy between 2 lines and kind of just allowing that first groove to kind of just race away and make it a fight between themselves.
Yeah, this is why it's so important. Davey could not get clear of that second group. So now it's a battle between Davey and Brian Torchia to try to get in. And whoa, Garrison got almost sucker holed into the middle lane.
Again, they have to get kind of together here. They got to catch up here. And right now they're losing, getting time slowly. Again, the game right now, it's 3.43 and climbing quickly, but no one can seem to decide who wants to be the lead here. With only being 19 laps, you don't have time to kind of say, all right, I'm going. We have to say, all right, maybe Josh Garrison wasn't the fastest car in line. All right, we'll throw that out. We got to try something different here. We got to decide whether it's Hawk or Kerr. Hawk or Kerr. We got to decide who the fastest is on this line here and be the one that leads the train. Actually, sorry, it's Markowski leading that outside line. Kerr is second line. But they got to link up here, make something happen here. But with 3 Black Acid Racing cars on that high side, could be a bit of an easier situation to try to get forward here. We'll ride on board here with one of the independent cars here in Byron. Currently right now on that low line, knows his mission statement. Has to get around Hawk in that Bass Pro machine currently on the inside line there, up that Ray. But right now, easier said than done as he's kind of just trying to judge the lines here to make something happen. But as the cars kind of still fight for position, fight something happen here, maybe something can open up for that 82 machine. As it looks like he was about to try to slot in where Oberstadt was. We'll have to tuck behind Garrison, currently still situated in 18th position. But the downside is if he loses the draft, it could be game over here. So he's got to make sure he stays close and does not end up falling just outside of touch radius.
Front of the field, still Josh Gaiman leading the way.
They're not racing.
Yeah, they're just walking away here. And for everyone behind Gaiman, they know that Gaiman's a good piper here. They can let him sit up front, they can sit behind him. And now it's a 6-car fight to determine really rows 2 through 7 for those 250 in 2 weeks. And they're trying to make sure that's between them. The important thing is that Gaiman's not pit yet. So what happens if Gaiman has to make that pit stop?
Be interesting unless he's found a way to save magical fuel under caution, but considering we saw a lot of the pack come in twice, clearly there's no way he made that combi up, so he'll have to pit at least once. And then it raises the question, obviously Adams would be the car that would be in row 2. Obviously this is basically the first 7 rows would look like in the real life race if this holds. But things can change here, and again, I don't expect them to get race here until maybe 3 to go. And even then, it's going to be kind of light racing because there's no real reason. If you're Dustin Painter, you're starting 14th at the very least, 13th at the very least in row 7. So there's not much really of a penalty per se. It's better than starting obviously right outside 40th. So there's a risk in a kind of reward situation. And riding right now for 13th is, well, what would be 13th in Raceway is not great, but it's better than maybe end up getting in a wreck or getting destroyed and then starting further back. So it's kind of weigh the odds. Consider the following, if you will, and decide what you feel like, what's the risk reward? Because for a few drivers like Zier, first race, Alfred's George, a few others, this would definitely be a good advantage to kind of start this high up, especially for like Jonathan Adams too, the rookie, trying to do what not a lot of drivers have done in A² and win on your official debutant race in A² competition. So we'll see what he can do on that regard. But right now, still Gaiman, Adams, Zier, George, Delela, Proudfoot, Painter, your top 7, and they are now 5.75 away from Dale Markowski in that second pack. Speaking at least of that second pack, though, they officially have gotten grouped up in a single file line. So there is that at the very least, but is it too little too late?
With 14 laps to go, we're going to find out. That is a guarantee at this stanza of the race. It's a 5-second gap all the way down to Markowski, Kerr, and Rupert.
Watching this pack, you can just see they're not really lined up. They're lined up, but they're not lined up the best. You see right now they're getting a little bit race here, self-sabotage to a degree. Obviously, if you're
there's a reason why.
I was going to say
there's dropped back, and now Torchia's right there.
I was going to say, there's a reason why they jumped out, per se. I was about to kind of correct that, bookend that statement. That right there's the battle for the last spot in. They're going to fight hard. But for a few others like Oberstadt, Garrison, there's no real 100% reason to maybe jump out here to try to make something happen here. But obviously, if they're losing this much time, maybe they just kind of said, all right, we're done. We're not going to catch them. It's not good to signify defeat. Or at the very least, maybe if they get racy, something happens, that could be their ticket back up there. But obviously, you don't want to pray for a caution under those circumstances. But right there, you can see right out the moment, Torchia is ahead of Hauk. And again, right now they're both being lined up on the high side here. It's quite interesting how this plays. So it's still race on here with 13 to go, and that could easily change. We're right on board here with the 28 machine. Right now, the car that would be bounced if the race were to end right now. But with that high side getting, you can see Garrison really pushing the back of that 41, not really getting him going. That's going to check that high side up more. And it's just, I don't want to be mean to him, but it's not what you really want to see in a plate race. It's just, they're not deorganized per se, but they just don't have that. They don't have that leader in that pack, I guess is the best way to describe it.
No, they don't.
Sometimes you need that driver that will call shots and be like kind of a drill sergeant, if you will. They'll say, all right, get down. Oh, Reckon in the back. That's going to be Garrison that got spun around here. I think he got a piece with the 48 of Catania. So neither of the independent drivers were involved, but that will bring up the caution. That will be the saving grace for the second pack. That will get him back up. But Garrison got spun like a top there, and that will be the third caution of the heat.
And here's what happened. We'll go back and look at it. Everyone was trying to slowly abandoning the outside lane.
Yeah. And we'll
What
see
happens
here.
here? Garrison's in the wall already and bounces off of Torchia.
Yeah,
and then off
right.
of Catania and then back into the outside wall.
Mm-hmm. So for starters, this is going to be a free stop for Josh Gaiman here. He'll be able to stop. The question is, will the rest of the field follow him in? Obviously, Garrison's going to come in too. And when we go back at the action here, we'll probably have 9 to 8 laps remaining, so not many laps left. The question is, what will the 61 cars coming in? Let's just be honest with ourselves. The question is, will anyone follow him other than the 44?
If you have all of them pit on lap 7 or lap 8, I don't think you do. I genuinely don't think you do. It's not so much track position, it's just you don't want to come in and then end up putting yourself in a worse position.
Yeah.
Like, say, you come in and everyone else comes in, but then you have a bad pit stop.
Yeah, then
that's not great. That doesn't help you.
Yeah.
Staying out, you at least know where you're at.
Yeah. And you know you have the fuel to make it, so be interesting to see how this all plays.
Yeah, Gaiman's going to have to come in here, I think. I'd be surprised if he can make it all 30 laps here. We had 3. This is the third caution of the night. So you would imagine maybe if he feels safe, maybe. But yeah, he's coming in, and he's not going to be alone. James Kerr, Brian Rupert, Josh Battles, Brian Torchia, and Josh Garrison will all join him. But this takes the pole sitter out of the race leading fight.
Yeah. Obviously, again, he's playing with house money here. He was just going for the win. So not really a bitch of a fault here, but obviously, again, he got kind of experience with the front, was like, maybe understood what will be his lane mates for the opening laps here. So kind of good learning experience at the very least, but he will now officially put it on in. So that will put Mo Adams to the lead. Rupert, Garrison, Battles, Torchia, and Kerr and Gaiman all came in. Kerr came to top off. What's interesting to note here is Torchia was the only one that was one of the only independent drivers that came in. The other two stayed out. Obviously, we saw him get a little piece of Garrison there, so wanted to make sure that car was nice and fixed up and clean. Horsepower was not being affected here. But now he's going to be last row outside lane for the start of this thing. So, and he knows the mission statement if you're Torchia. David Hawk is 12th right now, and Delela is 4th. So you have to at least pass one of those two cars if you want to try to race for a win in 2 weeks' time. But see how this all plays. So we'll get the 1 to go next time by. Obviously, again, as no cars went a lap down in this short heat race, we have no lucky dogs to report of. And now the next question is kind of just running through the field here in my mind. Jonathan Adams, a race leader, the rookie. First time, maybe not up here in iRacing competition, but the first time in A-Square competition up here. We'll see how he handles the pressure. How will he fire off? He'll have Alfred's George behind him, but there's kind of a strong combination in Zier and Delela on the high side. So it'll be interesting how this all plays. And can Adams get that push to stay ahead? Or we'll maybe see a situation where we saw in the last restart where all 4 cars just tuck on in and try to make something happen here. But all those questions, the answers shortly, as we will get the 1 to go this time by. People get bunched up. Lights are now out officially on the pace car. It's going to be Adam Zier, George DeLayla, Proudfoot, Painter, Markowski, Oberstadt, Feimster, Withers, your top 10.
Again, for those tuning in and joining us for a wonderful Sunday evening of racing, alongside me, Kevin Young, I'm Carmen Sienna, bringing you action from the high banks of Daytona. This is the first of 2 dual races tonight. We'll have another one here after this. This is determining the inside lane for the ARCS Daytona 250 in 2 weeks on February 18th. The second race of the night will determine the outside lane for the rows beyond the first row of the field. Qualifying took place earlier tonight. Josh Gaiman took the Just Atop Pole Position award.
And he'll be starting front row, guaranteed, in 2 weeks' time, along with Baxter in the 60, who will be in the second heat. We'll watch relatively shortly. And by the way, looking
Baxter,
at that,
also kind of mentioning that he'll be leading the field to green. He also let himself into the front row in qualifying, so his position's guaranteed no matter where he finishes tonight.
One more thing, looking at that graphic right now for the commentary, in 2023, I gotta get some better, 2024 actually, 23 is already passed. 2024, I gotta get some better accomplishments for that thing. It's looking a bit repetitive.
Come on, join us on Wednesdays. Water's fine.
Maybe I will. Gotta get at least a win, gotta put something in there, because it's looking a little bare. It's 2022 was 2 years ago. Gotta find something. But anyway, shameless plug for Champ Car later. 8 to go here. It's gonna be on Adam's control here, and Hayward brings up a good point in the chat here. Does DeLayla trust Zier, or does Zier jump in, or does Zier try to take the win for herself? Obviously, Racer's Edge said she'd go for the win herself, but things can always change here. Pacer gonna pull off. Adam's control. Green flag is out, and away we go. Great restart by Adams. Zier not going to have the opportunity to jump in, and right now the problem is her outside companions just left her at the altar. And now the question is, can she find a way down, or is she going to have to stop between Painter and Markowski?
Whoa,
and there goes
look
Adams.
at George.
Not Adams.
Right
Try to time it too quickly. Yeah, Adams tried to take a run. No one joined. Now going to get some help here with the 80 of DeLayla. Alfred George to the lead, to the point. Zier there in third.
Whoa! George got tagged in the outside wall there by Dila. Dila did not get a lined up push there, and now it's 3 wide behind. Zier getting shuffled backwards, as is the rest of the outside line. Inside's where you want to be, as you can tell by the top 6.
Alfred George will fall down here. That's not good for DeLayla. Independent car going to fall back with the other 2 right now, and I think he's side by side with the 28 of Hauk. So right now, all the race for back there. 3 independent cars in a bit of a bubble there. Keep an eye on the white and orange machine, the Bass Pro black and orange machine, and the pure white machine with black rearing right there, just in the back there. They're all getting pretty racy here. Gaiman right now 3 wide with the 1 of Rupert, and then the DeLayla now split here. There goes Garrison. This is all to play for here. As right now,
it's Torchia and Dila in the transfer spots to try to make the show. Right now, Davey Hauk, that 28 car, odd one out. Gaiman drops all the way to the back of the field, coming to 6 laps to go.
Right now, they're losing a little bit of touch to the pack here. If they lose the pack, this could be all she wrote for those 2, and they'll have to fight it out themselves here. With 4 cars, that could be quite tricky. But back to the front, like you said, Carmen, it's Adams, Proudfoot, Painter, Markowski, Overstat, your top 5. Yep, confirm right now. Gaiman can confirm that second pack there. They lost the draft. So right now, if you're Torchia, you're smiling ear to ear. You just left those 2 at the altar right there, and now you're linked up here. So you're looking good to make the show with 6 to go. And now Hook and DeLayla will have to fight it out. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, Torchia is good. It's Dila and Hauk that's in trouble, and they both got help. Hauk's got Battle, Dila's got Gaiman.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a tandem race at the very back of the field, but they're on their own. 5 to go for Duel 1.
Yeah, they're gonna need it. If they ever gonna race up themselves, need a caution. But right there, you can see Proudfoot won the clash last week, trying to go 2 for 2. At the very least, it's going to have Zier and Garrison in tow. Garrison looking a little wobbly with Kerr behind. Using a recipe for disaster. We'll see if they can get the momentum going towards the front there. Patrick Oberstadt getting a bit of a run there along with Withers on that low side, trying to give the push to Markowski, the bucket machine of Painter, and the 8 of Adams. 2 lanes forward here. We'll ride on board here. Yeah, I was about to say. Garrison will give us a good shot here. It's been a bit twitchy, which is a bit of a concern here, especially late. But
no one's lifting at this point. You're
yeah.
at a point now where it's just you just go, 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 go. You see Painter in the 65 off to the left, 0 directly in front of Garrison. Everyone, this is determining your starting position for the 250. This is for a really good spot in the race in 2 weeks' time. Again, Torchia is sitting on cloud 9 at the moment as things stand. You want to talk about how tense this fight is for the transfer spot? There's 5 going for 2 in the second duel.
And we saw 2 of those fast cars get inside the top 12 in both Smeal and Thompson. And easily things can change. Man, about 10 laps ago, we were talking about how Delayla looked good to make the show as they were firmly in the top half. And now they've lost the draft and they're fighting just to get 1 spot here. So Torchia right now went from outside looking in, now inside right now at the moment with 3 to go, just praying we do not get another caution here. Does not want to see this get re-racked. He will take 14th, actually a little bit higher up, my mistake, 10th now.
Keep an eye on Garrison. Garrison got shuffled out. He was having a little bit of latency. He got shuffled all the way to the back of the field. And now it's shuffled a little bit on that outside lane, which has lost a lot of its momentum.
Yeah. I think another thing that factored is twitchiness. We saw latency, but also Garrison was not planted at all. He felt a little bit lost up there and a little twitchy, which just, if you're not feeling confident, the other drivers sense that and they know, all right, I can't work with you because I can't trust you when it's go time. So Garrison gonna have to kind of iron that in, or at least fake it till you make it, as we're coming to 2 to go here. Adams, Painter, Markowski, Oberstadt, Withers, your top 5 on that low side right now. Outside line does not have any cars in at the moment. Furthest back is Proudfoot, but Proudfoot's currently sitting just in P7. Maybe going to try to gear up one more run here, but he's going to need some help from one of those cars on that current top 6 to jump out here. And the question is, does anyone, well, obviously, I assume someone's going to pull out here to take this.
Yeah, that was Withers that jumped out. The 23 jumped to the outside lane. He's got to wait for the outside lane to come to him, though. And that is going to be Proudfoot in the 22. Winner of the Clash last week. Gonna try to push the 23 forward, but they've got less than 2 laps to go. Coming to the white flag. Here you go. And now Jonathan Adams tries to block both lanes. White flag is in the air. 1 lap to go. Presented by Smeal Racing Designs.
Let you get the plug in there first. Now Markowski trying to make lanes there. He was going high-low, usually blocking both lanes. Doesn't play off quite nicely, but Adams made it work, showing the presence of a veteran, even though he's a rookie. Now can he hold the edge here? Markowski, oh! Adams in the wall! Bunch of traffic here! Smeal around, the 40 around, and now it's a race back to the line. Painter in the lead, Feemster, Oberstadt, Proudfoot, Courier top 5. Painter in the Bucky's machine, looking clear at the moment. Can these cars get a line and get a ray to get towards the front?
Keep an eye further back. Proudfoot trying to get around Feemster, but it's all going to be Dustin Painter. He blocks Feemster, goes high. Feemster goes low, but Painter wins duel 1.
And I can confirm one thing right now. The 2 cars in, Hauk and Torchia. Making sure that's confirmed. Actually, Dila
and Hauk, because Torchia was involved in that caution, in that incident last lap.
Yep, miscounted that one. That's on me. But yeah, those 2 are in. And again, it just shows you how easily things can change. Just one little incident up front, just set the 82 pack in, and it's put the 80 and the 28 into the show next week. But Dustin Painter gets the victory, held out, avoided the chaos, and he will take this win, and he will line up inside row 2 in 2 weeks' time.
And we're going to transition immediately into duel number 2 here. We did not even a chance to just reflect for a second just how crazy with how that was. So let's get into it. Ross Baxter, front row start. He's locked in to his front row start. He will start second in the 250. How does he handle that position that he's going to be in? He's leading the field of green here in duel 2. Michael Lawrence, good old cheeseburger for Gearcat, sitting alongside him on the front row here for duel 2. Seth Wansing for Peter Time was the provisional pole sitter for the race. Ended up being slotted down into the 6th position. He'll start this race in 3rd. Now he's got to race his way forward. David Wright alongside of him in the 4th position. Then it's John Smeal, the first independent car of several going into this. Lily Peltier Sharp in 6th. Selena Thompson in 7th. Connor Knowlton in 8th. Bren Roberts, Richie Catania, top 10. Then it's Jacob Delgado and Pacey Wygen in the top 12. Going down through only 9 rows here because we had an odd number of cars that took part in qualifying. It's Daniel Michelle and Ryan Gums in row 7. Austin Mongol, Steven Oberstadt in row 8. Row 9 is Independence to round out the field. Patrick Allen Jr. and Jack Mulkey making up the field of 18 for duel number 2.
Yep. Gonna get very racy indeed. And again, it's law of averages. First one was chaotic. This one, maybe gonna be a little less chaotic at the very least. But at least for some, that's what they hope at the very least. So right now, looking at the chat as it spins by a mile. Man, if you're watching the race replay right now on ABN YouTube channel, you missed out on a good race there for starters live, and you should really tune in live if you can, because the chat is quite a good experience to watch and read and participate in when these races happen. Definitely gives you a good insight that another insight that me and Carmen can't always provide is the in-race experience and the in-race atmosphere. But as we are going to get ready for green here, Cheeseburger Lawrence and Baxter front 2 here, 2 new faces in the A² Cup Series here at the very least. We'll see how it all plays, and it's going to be quite interesting to see how this goes.
Yeah, it's going to be a wild time here going into this race. Ross Baxter, Michael Lawrence, Seth Wansing, David Wright, the top 4 going into this as we get ready to go.
So the pace car pulls on off here. Green flag is out. And away we go for Duel 2 here in the A² Cup Series.
Two laps completed here in duel number 2.
If we take you to the sights and sounds of Daytona, we couldn't really do in Heat 1 because of the early caution. We'll give you a good perspective what the noise and the experience is around the racing track. Personally, I can attest to it. It's quite a fun experience here. But you can just see how racy they're getting here. You can see cars dipping, diving, and dodging lanes here, jump from high to low here. But keeping it clean, it's all that matters in the end here. So we'll ride aboard here the pink 4 of Austin Mongold here, riding the Zoomer car, if you will, of the 4. We'll see what he can do, or Zoomer, whatever they called it at the very least, and then try to get that thing towards the front there. You can see one of the open cars on the high side, the 10, Selena Thompson, as the 4 will get around as an open, as a already guaranteed seat. Just looking to get some good experience here.
Check
Oh,
up there.
big check up there.
That was Delgado in the 52 that checked
right
up
in the
there
back
a lot.
of the 52.
But they avoided it all, which is important. Also important to note, top 2 of the numbers in red. So the 13, 27, the 10, the 55, the 45, they're racing for the same thing. Top 2 transfer into the 250. Those that do not make it in, important to note, they are alternates in case some of the chartered entries, some of the team entries don't make it in. So there's still a chance that they can make it into the show, but it requires a little bit more luck to have a chance to come back in if you're not one of the top 2.
Oh, look at this.
Inside
It's hard to tell from this
more
angle.
trouble.
But big check up there. Hard to tell from that camera there, but I was watching it from the wide shot. Just a big check up that inside line. It was reading for disaster. Luckily, again, no one gets turned around here. No one ends up getting wrecked, but definitely a checkup for a check. And that could be a bit of a issue for those cars that lost a little bit of time here. They're going to have to get quickly geared up so they don't lose the draft and don't make this a 2-pack race, because with coming up to 25 to go next time by, it's bad sailing if it ends up being a 2-pack race here. But right up front here again, you can see right there, it's currently the 2 of Connor Knowlton, currently the line power man, currently in the way with Lawrence right there in tow. Seth Wanzen currently beating the outside line in the number 9 with the help of the 18 of Sharp, Willis Peltier Sharp. So again, friends are where you can find them, and you can make what you can make. And just look how close on that inside line round as we hit 25 to go that independents are, with Mulkey, Thompson, and Smeal all just kind of fighting with Smeal on that inside line, Mulkey on the inside line, and the Thompson on the outside line. So it's about whose line can really get the momentum here to really make something happen.
Wanzing using the outside lane to his advantage. Peltier Sharp right in tow. Inside lane composed of Knowlton and Lawrence. .24 laps to go. Peltier Sharp got clear and now leads. Mulkey, the 27. We didn't see the independents last duel really make it up front very often. Mulkey's already up front and in front of Seth Wanzing, but Wanzing I don't think wants to be behind the 27 car. Slowed him down a lot.
And you can see right now it's affecting that high line at the moment. We know Seth Wanzing is definitely a driver that's willing to make a third line happen if he needs to. So he's definitely someone that will try it right there, though. Oh, you saw the 2. Thought of maybe jumping up there in front of Mulkey. Thought better of it. Caused a checkup. David Wright, though, sideways. And he's going to end up going around. He's going to take the 0-0 with him. Looks like everyone else is relatively okay for the most part, but they get the biggest licks out of the 2 of them. And you can see right there, the rest of the cars will slow up and pile in. And that will be, well, pile around it, I should say. And that will bring the first caution of the night for the 2-time winner last season, David Wright. Not looking good so far, but we'll try to get that fixed up. So back to replay here. Keep an eye on that 42. And we'll see, was it a bad run? Or was it a bump that sent him sideways? Ooh,
he got turned.
Yeah, that
he
was
100% got turned going into that. Looking from the blimp cam, it is off the nose of Baxter.
Yep. At that
and
point,
he tried
like
setting it, but it immediately just snaps in the other direction.
Right into the said 60 machine, and then right in front of.
Yeah, that's where Wygen and Gomes were located there. You see Baxter just trying his best. Gomes trying to get through. You see Baxter to the inside lane there. He's trying to get out of it. And he does. Yeah.
And he probably got minimum damage there for the least of it. Again, Wygen and Wright ended up getting probably the biggest licks out of the 2 of them. So they'll have to come down to fix it. But as we have hit lap 8 or 9, we are probably going to see the only pit stop here happen for field. But we'll take one more look at the replay here from the 45 perspective. Patrick Allen. You can see right there, check up on the high side. He just lets it go. Nothing really impeded him. He's like, all right, cool. It's going to keep going.
This is from Catani's perspective. He's further back in this. Again, just kind of looking at how easy that could have gone, even worse, and it didn't.
Yeah, it's looking at, again, you're sitting in that cockpit, you're like, okay, All right, cool. And then next thing you know, see a car ping pong up, like, oh no, oh, don't go up. And then you just see it swing the other direction, like, oh, thank God. So it's quite an interesting situation where you kind of sit and watch and play out. Interesting situation, Sienna Thompson stays out, which is interesting because we saw Gaiman do the same strategy, and obviously a caution fell right. But if this goes green to the end, this may hurt Thompson's chances to making the 250.
This is hedging your bets that this race is going to somehow be the more chaotic duel.
Hmm. Because if you're up,
it didn't start off that way.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't like this decision.
I will say though, looking at we've watched those 8 laps, it was chaotic to watch. They kind of skinned the cat, or metaphorically speaking, avoided the problems that could have easily made a wreck. But how many times how long can you do that before you run out of lives? So at the moment, I don't like the call either. I think she should have came in and made some happen, especially since she was in that top half anyway, fighting with Mulkey and Smeal. So the worst, you would have fell back maybe a couple spots, been around outside top 10, maybe if you're lucky inside top 10. So odd choice all around, but she feels confident. So,
well, I think it's more of a missing pit lane incident according to the TIN radio.
Oh, okay.
So this is, you talk about adding insult to injury. Runaway was a planned, but now it's a good chance that if you do come in pit lane now, you're stuck at the back of the field.
Yeah. Kind of looking at the replay here. Yeah, it looked like she maybe was trying to make a late call to come in, and yeah, just either got checked, because looking back, looks like probably tried to foul Seth Wansinger, but by the time they realized it was too little too late and they weren't going to make the loan anyway. But it does look like it was close, but maybe they could have got that 10 down, but didn't want to risk maybe getting a penalty, which would have made the problem even worse. So anyway, though, lights out on the pace car. We are going to get bunched up here. Yeah, pits are closed, penalty worth not pitting, so obviously mistakes happen.
Pitting now is a stop and go in under green, which would be a nightmare.
Yep. So that just gonna have to stay what you rolled. So, or the mistake you made. So anyway, Thompson going to be leading the front row along with Alyssa Peltier-Sharp. That will be row 1. Wanzing and Mulkey, row 2. Knowlton and Lawrence, row 3. Catania Mongold, row 4. Smeal and the 52 will be row 5. And that will be your first 5 rows here. Delgado. Struggling with that name a bit. That'll be the first 5 rows. There's John Smeal right there. Right at the moment, Thompson and Mulkey will be the first 2 cars in. Smeal, Allen, Gomes, 3 out. But with Thompson having to pit at least once, that could obviously shake things up and change how this plays. But if a caution quickly comes out, which Thompson is hoping, could easily rectify the mistake that ended up happening.
Gonna be a busy race going into this. Yeah. Coming to 19 laps to go. Now everyone knows there's no real incentive to work with Thompson. I mean, the Thompson has to make a pit stop here.
But then it didn't stop people working from Gaiman last race, so you never know. But obviously, also Gaiman was more known in the A-Square community.
Gaiman is not only more known, but also pole sitter.
Yeah.
There's a way different battle. Jack Mulkey and Selena Thompson are battling for the same thing. So is Smeal, Allen, and Gomes. Allen, to his credit, is in no matter what. He's filling in for Dale Markowski. So this is a 4 looking for 2 situation. But green flag in the air, and not a great start for Thompson. Allow Peltier-Sharp right into it. Delgado moved upside. Smeal moved to the bottom.
Yep. Right now it's working for the 10, but again, it's not like the first seat where we saw quickly get in line and make something happen here. We're going to make these 2 lines work, and we are going to race until we see the checkered flag. Get the bang for the buck, though, at the very least.
Inside lane navigating the momentum. Mulkey following. Thompson ahead of Knowlton.
Outside line getting to lose a bit of charge here. $18 to go. Thompson, Mulkey, the two independent cars, and the two trying to get locked in. Currently 1-2. I'll tell you, really losing momentum right now. They're sinking like a stone here with Sharp and Wanzing. Maybe a bit of a different track, different time, different everything else going in 2 weeks' time. But could be worth at least taking some notes on. First car pulls out of line right there. It's going to be the 13 to Smeal. Going to jump to the high line here, knowing that getting up front is definitely going to be a key to the pie here. Going to help try to give an extra number to both Sharp and Wanzing. But right now, not looking to be making any headway here as they come to 17 to go. Will another car jump up here, but looking at Tanya, Knowles. If you're Mulkey right now, there's no reason really to pull out here. That 10 ends up pitting. You kind of just going to ride along here, but there goes the 2 Knowlton. Will also jump out here.
Yeah,
so
Knowlton in front of Smeal. Yeah.
Knowlton, Smeal, Sharp will be the 3 on the high side, along with Wanzing. And now the outside line getting some charge here. Mulkey gets a little bit squirrely there, keeps it straight though. And now Knowlton in the lead with Smeal in tow. 3, 4 cars all clear. Questions, will they come down? Wanzing, I think, maybe thought about it, can't follow suit, but the 2 and the 13 will join down. Thompson thought about going high there, couldn't make it happen.
Whoa,
now
Knowlton's
going to try to
both lanes.
Yeah, I was about to say, going to try to control the lanes here. Couldn't get it done. Back low, he will go. Sharp now going to have the charge. It looks like that Toyota is going to take the lead here with 16 to go. Wanzing pushing the ever-loving you-know-what out of that 18. And now the 18 will jump low. And for those tuning in late, I'm Kevin Young, joined by Carmen, Sienna. We provided one good qualifying session and heat racing, trying to bring you a great finish for the second one here. As you can see, the chaos happening. Wanzing now left low, Sharp jumps low. Wanzing now leads the high side. And just again, look how close it is on that bubble line right now. Smeal's got 1 spot. Thompson needs a caution, the kind of pit that gets service. And then after that, it's Mulkey and Allen basically side by side here for the last spot. Outside line gets a bit checked up here. Gonna play them. There goes Knowlton to the high side. Knowlton was not liking ride behind, even though they both were Toyota, should have meshed well. Knowlton wants the lead, though, be the lead car, and will head towards the lead and take the lead. And oh, a bit of almost Wanzing got a little squirrely behind Knowlton. They keep it pointed, though. Wanzing gonna jump
to the
low.
bottom. There you go.
Yeah.
That's what Wanzing wanted to do 3 laps ago, but couldn't. Now he's got it. And he got a shot from Pelletier Sharp.
Yep. Sharp got shoved in behind, so that was basically a check reaction, but Wanzing held his
3
cool.
wide in the middle. In the middle. That's Roberts.
Oh, right in front of Allen. That 52 machine got right in front of the 45. But I was just about to say, though, got to keep the nerves sometimes up there. If your plans, best laid plans of ice and men, if it doesn't work out, you got to make something happen to fall through. Wygent coming in the pit lane here. Looks like it's unscheduled. Looks like he'll be pitting here and take him out of contention for the win. 14 to go, though. About holding your nerve, you're up front. Keep the confidence, hold the nerve, and don't, if something goes wrong, don't panic, don't get confused. Just keep going and try to chug it along here. They just shuffled the 47 out of the way, though, of Lawrence. They just sent him towards the back, and it looks like he'll go all the way to the back.
Yeah. Nothing he can do but go backwards on that one.
Wygent is officially pulled out of the race. His day is done, but luckily, again, being a locked-in car, you'll see him in 2 weeks' time, so he'll just be coming from the back.
Side by side at the front of the field. Still Knowlton on the outside lane. Wanzing, the 2-time series champion, on the inside lane. Heavy fight. At the front of the field. Door to door. Wanzing had the advantage that lap. And it seems pretty even. The inside lane a little more put together. The outside lane, though, has the momentum. Another case of immovable object meets the unstoppable force. Whoa! Roberts to the inside. He'll abandon Knowlton and go to the front. Delgado now in line.
Yeah, a lot of people don't want to work with Knowlton, it seems, here. I don't know if that's indicative of anything, but every time maybe just want to get towards the front. But a lot of people are leaving Knowlton at the altar here. They're just jumping low, jumping high, and they're saying, all right, 2, thanks for the help. Now moving away from you.
Delgado doesn't want to help Knowlton either. Delgado is looking to the outside lane. So there's something with that 2 car. Drivers are trying to get away from him, and it's allowing the inside lane to get cleared by 4.
Smeal just jumped high there.
Very important. But then he jumped back down to the inside lane behind Peltier Sharp. He's playing both lanes the best he can. There's Thompson still in the 5th position, holding the 2nd transfer spot.
What you don't want to hear on the radio is Smeal going to try to get that run, but the problem is no help coming. What you don't want to hear on the radio is the 2. Right now, the 52 said, I'm not the best pusher. So that's a bit of a concern right now if you're on that hotline with a 52 right now.
If you're Knowlton, the dugout is saying, I'm not good at this, that is, you hedge your bets that you're going to have to move.
Yeah. But right now, 2 cars jump up. One is Mulkey, the other is Smeal. Both
Peltier Sharp just went up.
Yeah, both transfer cars right now. They saw the big gap. There goes Nolan.
In front. Oh, Selena Thompson.
Selena Thompson.
And that's a caution.
Luckily, I don't think much damage for the 10 or the 2, but Thompson was hoping for a caution. She got it, but she was also the reason there was a caution anyway. So
I don't think she was the reason. I think Nolan got a bad bump.
True. It wasn't. She didn't cause it. She was just an unwilling bystander, but she was hoping for one. And you know what I'm saying? You hope for a caution. Sometimes you're involved.
Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, perfect. So we'll take a look here what happened. Obviously, you can see, yeah, Thompson, unwilling bystander in this situation.
Let's go to the blimp cam. Let's get a good look at this. Nolan in the 2, Thompson in the 10. Inside lane, obviously, it fell apart quickly once Peltier, Sharp, Mulkey, and Smeal all moved outside. We'll play this in slow motion. Again, keep an eye on Knowlton in the 2, because he's going to have a really bad time. Thompson, again, on that yellow line. Knowlton tries shooting the gap.
Oh, that's aggression we've seen throughout these past 30 laps, and, well, it didn't work out there.
And you begin to kind of put 2 and 2 together as to why people didn't want to work with him.
Mm-hmm.
And that could have gotten worse, too, if a bad bump could have just shot Knowlton even further towards that inside lane, or towards the inside wall.
Or at the same point, if the bump was at a bad point, Thompson was a little further back, could have came down and ended up getting turned the other direction. So, again, Knowlton ends up kind of, other than flat spotting tires and maybe a little bit of ego damage and a little bit of pride hurt, other than that, still good for wear. Now going to have to come from 17th to try to get something higher up in the heats. So anyway, with 10 to go here, we obviously know the 10's coming on in. I'll have to take service here to make sure they can get to the end. Rest of the field, now the question is, obviously we saw in the last stint, most cars electing to stay out because obviously track position, you're going to feel, don't want to make a mistake on pit lane and end up going farther back. But if you're a few cars maybe further back, like a Wright, an Overstat, like a 60 of Baxter, Michelle, maybe you roll the dice here, get some extra fuel in it, maybe some tires and see what you can do. But it looks like no one is going to join the 10 down the lonesome road, the pit lane. Even the 2 won't even join. So it's going to be Thompson on a lonely trip to pit lane, and everyone else staying out, good to go to the finish. So Roberts, Wanzing, Sharp, Smeal, Mulk, your top 5. And now it's interesting because Thompson coming on in with 9 to go. She knows the mission statement. She has to get up to top 5 right now at the moment to get Smeal and Mulkey if she wants to race next week guaranteed. Well, 2 weeks from now, guaranteed, I should say. Allen and Gomes also know the situation as well. Got to find a way to get to the front because Smeal and Mulkey, they have had a... Smeal we've seen willing to make moves to get towards the front. Mulkey has gotten up front and has held that machine up front in that 27 and has not allowed him really to fall back. So they both have kept themselves in contention, know how to run up front, and we saw last season when both were driving for B-Tron, Smeal would come out for the plate races, and Mulkey obviously didn't come for the second half of the season, but was in the opening rounds of Daytona, Atlanta, and Talladega, and knew how to work, and they knew how to get towards the front. So they know what they do. They learn lessons from their experience running on plate racing and B-Tron, and they're putting those lessons in the practice now, and are hoping that that can lead them to the promised land and guarantee them a chance to maybe go out there and win 2 weeks' time, or at the very least, get the same result they did last season with a 3rd and a 4th, respectively.
This is going to be interesting, to say the very least.
By the way, just again, if anyone's tuning in late, the drivers do have one fast pair. I saw it pop up in the chat. One fast pair, so if they do need it, it is there. But obviously, with so many few laps remaining, it's going to be very chaotic to see how this plays. But as Carmen just said, and I agree, it's going to get very interesting.
Alrighty. Bryn Roberts at the front of the field. He's been in this position before.
So it's going to be Wanzing, Roberts, row 1, Sharp, Smeal, row 2, Mulkey and Delgado, row 3, Catania and Allen, row 4, Mongold and Gomes, row 5. Then Wright, Oberstadt, Lawrence, Baxter, Michelle, Nolan, Thompson, 17 cars remaining. Wygant, the only retirement in this heat, will start roughly around 39th position, maybe 38th, depending how you want to split it. Maybe actually 40th actually no, because some drivers didn't. Yeah, somewhere around the 38s, late 30s, in 2 weeks' time.
Almost showtime. Once again, this has been the more calm duel. We had 3 cautions in Duel 1. Have they saved it all for the last 7 laps of this race? That is the magic question going into all of this.
All I know is Wanzing will probably shoot me a message on this, and probably I'll agree with his statement. There's a fight he's not willing to give up on. He will fight tooth and nail to the finish, regardless if it's an exhibition race or an actual points-paying race. He's not going to allow this win to slip away from his hands. He's going to fight and fight to the finish. Well, anyway, hey Scar, gonna come on in, be on Robert's control. Green flag is out, and away we go.
Very isolated start there. Roberts got to the outside lane, lined up right there with Wanzing and Smeal. Left Peltier, Sharp out to dry.
Delgado will jump from the high to low side here. You can see
I'm
Patrick
surprised
Allen.
Peltier Sharp did not go for that outside lane. Let Delgado have it.
Yeah, Delgado now jump back high, so Sharp feels confident on that low side right now at the moment. Oh, it's gonna get interesting. It's again getting racy for the transfer spot there. Patrick Allen right now, currently at the moment. Mulkey was stuck on that low side in that John Deere green and yellow machine right behind Sharp. That inside line can get some momentum going, could swing back. Roberts, Wanzing, Smeal kind of unison right there. Ooh, big move there by Delgado, jumps low. Gonna try to be the first car on the inside line at the charge comes.
Keep an eye on Selena Thompson. Shut the middle gap.
She's trying to get towards the front and get towards the front quickly. She knows she's got 6 laps to make something happen, and with Smeal and Allen in the front too, is Allen gonna jump low right there? You can see right there, that's the mission statement. There, the 2 cars in. She has to get towards the front. She cannot dilly-dally. Bring home, get me the spot, or bring home the steering wheel. She's got to do something. She's got to be aggressive.
Inside lane, now being led by Oberstadt over Allen. Oberstadt knows what it's like to win at Daytona. Little latency from Wanzing. That will affect the momentum of the 84 of Roberts. They're side by side, door to door, 5 to go.
By the way, it's even scaled John Smeal. Listen to some of the radio chatter. It even scared Smeal. So that's always sketchy with latency. This lane, car around. It's the 55 of Gomes. Gonna go right into the back wall there, along with a 47 of Lawrence. Had to remember the name for a second. But Gomes, a driver that's an independent, trying to make the field, and it came bedded on blue, and it ended up coming up red, or now yellow, I should say. And he's gonna have to try to limp around here to the pit lane to get some service. But yeah, Gomes ended up, I think, got hooked from what I saw, but the replay will tell all.
And we'll look at it. This is going back. We'll go backwards here. We'll even go to the blimp cam and see what happens to the 55 outside lane in front of the 2 of Connor Knowlton. And this is another Knowlton shoots the gap again. Let's play it in slow motion.
Knowlton shoots the gap.
Oh, and the gap just keeps closing and closing and closing.
And should note, got in the Mulkey too.
Oh, and the 47. And the 25 of Michelle.
Yeah.
I don't know
Thompson makes it through. Look at Thompson get through unscathed. That hole closed quick. She was lucky to avoid it, so Thompson gets through relatively unscathed. But yeah, just like that, 2 strong independent cars got some damage. There's always a villain when it comes to plate racing. Someone that's always the aggressor. And right now, that is Knowlton. That's being a bit of the aggressor at the very least.
Yeah. That's
There's
2
always-
for 2. Well, really 2 for 3, I should say, not 2 for 2. Because he was involved in the first caution. No, he was involved in the second caution with Thompson.
Yeah. Yep.
Not involved in the first one.
Nope. So as they come
Steven
around
Overstad
here
now in the race lead over Patrick Allen. Then it's Austin Mongold, Bren Roberts, Seth Wanzing, Jacob Delgado, Billy Peltier Sharp, then John Smeal, Jack Mulkey, and Knowlton make up the top 10. David Wright, Brian Gomes, they come down pit lane. Facey Wygent retiring early. He will accept his starting position. He'll be in row 19, give or take, going into the race in 2 weeks' time. Actually, I think he'll actually end up being in row 15.
you believe?
Yeah, he'll be in 15 because there's 3 that won't make it.
Yeah. And there was also a few open cars here, guaranteed cars that didn't qualify or didn't show up, like Pinell and Breo. So, yeah. But overall, I'm interested to play. Looks like Gomes has got an obviously long damage clock for Gomes right now. He looks like he either used his fast power already or doesn't have it anymore. And he's going to be a bit of a wounded duck trying to get to the finish here. Just try to get that thing and maybe hope, because we saw last heat, it looked like Byron was in, and then chaos happened in front. Byron got slowed up just enough to allow the 2 cars that were trailing to get through. So anything can still play. Right now, Allen going to have outside line the rubble. We saw the last couple restarts. Sharp, a few others got left to drive that high line. We'll see if Allen can try to buck the trend here. Then you got Smeal, Mulkey, and Thompson. And if Gomes can keep that car out to speed, could it be in competition for the last spot? And with Smeal going to be outside row 4 and Mulkey inside row 5. That high line just...
We have to emphasize this. Patrick Allen's in no matter what. He's filling in for Dale Markowski.
Got it.
So it's still Smeal and Mulkey that are duking this one out.
Got it. Okay, thank you. Thank you for
So
correcting
it's
the record.
Thompson and Gomes that are on the outside looking in. The 3 are really close. You have outside row 4, inside row 5, outside row 6.
Got it.
So it is a little bit of hopscotch.
Yeah.
In terms of playing who's where. Gomes back down pit lane.
Yeah.
So this is not going to bode well for him.
It also says Smeal's filling in for Adams at Daytona, but I don't know how true that one is. But anyway.
That is correct. That is from the team.
Okay.
So really it's between, right now it's between Mulkey, Thompson, and Gomes.
And Gomes is wounded. How many times he's come down here.
Yeah. So could be just Mulkey and Thompson.
It's like, all right, no one has to fight. Just bring it home and we'll be okay. Is right now probably going
that's
through
the idea, but everyone's starting position too. All that's important as well.
So, by the way, this has been officially extended to a green-white checker. That could be confirmed right now as well. So we are now under a green-white checker condition. Again, rule change could be a bit different, but I know last season it was unlimited attempts. It is 3. Sorry, it was 3. Okay. Again, how many series you cover? Sometimes the wires get crossed. So it's still 3 attempts, max 3 attempts.
I'm gonna make sure here that it's not unlimited tonight because of it being the duels. So give me a second on that, just to make sure that we're all on the same page here. Yeah, it is unlimited tonight.
Okay. So we have unlimited attempts if necessary. I don't think we'll need unlimited attempts with how short these fields are. I feel like we'll be good on 1. but you never know on these things. It's going to be Oberstadt, Allen, Mongold, Roberts, Wanzing, Delgado, Sharp, Smeal, Mulkey, Knowlton. Mulkey and Thompson are the 2 in at the moment, with Smeal filling in for Adams next week. He's got a seat guaranteed, and Allen filling in for Markowski. He has a seat guaranteed. So those 2 are just racing for the fun of it and guaranteeing wherever they'll start when the rain race starts. So anyway, pace car going to pull on in, going to be on Oberstadt's control.
And away we go.
Great restart there. Outside line has struggled before, and then will continue to struggle.
Yeah, I don't think Patrick Allen's quite ready for that. Mongold and Oberstadt, former teammates over in HTL, they were ready. And now Oberstadt
Gonna
has
guard
to
the
make sure
lines.
he's not a lame duck.
Yeah. Don't want to get
Patrick
too far
Allen
ahead.
winding it up. Keep an eye on that 45, that Coca-Cola machine. They've got to make it to the white flag. They've got to make it to 1 to go.
They come off in 3 and 4 right now. Mongold, Wanzi going to jump high side, but doesn't have much help. Is it coming? Oh, Mongold jumps high. They get a little squirrely. They keep it straight, though. We are going to see the white flag, but they're spinning now in the back. The cars are spinning through the tribal. Nolan involved. 24 Catania, 88 of Mulkey, 52, 10 of Thompson. They're all wrecking. I think we got Gomes making it through right now, so I think Gomes has got one of the spots. White flag still out. No caution has been called. Racing towards the finish right there. Thompson was sideways along with Mulkey. We'll see who gets going between the 2 of them. But staying up towards the front right there. Wanzing got the charge. Allen going to jump on. Wanzing going to throw a block. He's going to get sent to the Shadow Realm. Allen, Roberts, side by side. 3, 25, 4, 13 in this pack. Come off 3 and 4. Can the Roberts get a push? Allen going to try to make the lines work. He gets spun off Oberstadt. And it looks like Roberts gonna survive the chaos. He will win heat number 2 with a 25 of Michelle, 4 of Mongold, and another spin to finish it. Lawrence, Oberstadt, and Spiel. And now the question is, who's gonna win the race back? And I think it's gonna be Mulkey. So Mulkey and Gomes will make it through. Gomes far enough back, avoid the chaos, and Selena Thompson ends up wrong way around on the final lap with 1 to go. And she will not make the dance. And she will take her virtual hauler and go home.
Wow. Wow, wow,
Oof.
wow, 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 wow. All right, let's take a second to break this one down. Just for a moment.
All I saw was 3 cars end up getting, like we saw 1 car get turned, the other car get turned, and a 3rd car get turned in 3 separate parts of the track.
Let's walk through the results. This is Heat 1.
Yep.
This is the first duel. Dustin Painter, the Bucky's machine for Next Gen Racing. We'll start this race in 3rd on 2 weeks' time. Kevin Feemster, James Kerr, the top 3 looking at this. That was absolutely wild stuff. Josh Garrison in 4th. That is Proudfoot, Rupert, Oberstadt, Patrick Oberstadt, Lilac Zier, Mark Dila, and Josh Kamen, the pole sitter, in the top 10. Again, the odd one out was Brian Torcha, independent competitor to the 82 car, will be first alternate in this field in case one of the team cars cannot make it. So he's the first alternate in 13th there. Josh Battles, Dale Markowski, Jonathan Adams, Elvis George, and Tommy Withers on the inside there. Again, a very composed Heat 1 compared to what Heat 2 ended up becoming.
Yeah, Heat 2 started off calm, and then it ended with pure chaos, especially on that white flag lap. But take it through that field as well. Bren Roberts ends up taking the win in the 84, new machine for him, and he ends up taking the win for Presidential Racing with Daniel Michelle in 2nd. So both Sunday Monday Racing drivers end up 1-2, just with different teams. Michael Lawrence 3rd, Austin Mongol 4th, Stefan Oberstadt 5th. More importantly, John Smeal, even though he is in red, he has a seat guaranteed next season as he's filling in for Adams. So we move further down with Wright. Gomes, remember, we saw him pit 2 times under the last caution, the green white checkered, maybe nursing some damage. kind of drifted a little bit back, and he survived the chaos and ends up getting a top 10. He's in the dance. Jack Mulkey right behind him. He'll take the other seat in that 27 as an independent contractor. They will both make it through, and Selena Thompson, we saw a wrong way around coming off the trial out of 1. She will not end up making the show, but she will be the second alternate just in case things happen. But the finish through the rest of the order, Sharp gets the top 10, then Allen, Catania, Baxter, Wanzing, Thompson, Delgado, Knowlton, with Pacey Wygant not finishing this race.
Oh dear. Dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. What a wild time going into this here on ABN1. And you thought that was crazy. You thought that was crazy. Obviously, 2 weeks' time, it's the ARCS Daytona 250. That's going to be even wilder of a time. And of course, it doesn't stop here on ABN1. We'll pull up the schedule. Obviously, we're at Daytona tonight. Tomorrow and Tuesday, it's HTL action from Kentucky Speedway. They visit ABN's home track. We'll be live 8 p.m. tomorrow, 8:15 p.m. on Tuesday here on ABN1. Then it's ABN Champ Car competition from Texas. It's been a wild couple races. Does the insanity continue in the Lone Star State? We had 28 cars last time out at Watkins Glen.
Oh.
It's time for everything to get even more crazy here. Then we have the HL National Series at Bristol. Then we have a doubleheader action from Toronto and from Rockingham. That's the week coming up here. We're going to see if we can do a couple interviews. See if we can grab a couple of the race winners here. Obviously, Dustin Painter, the winner of the first heat, and the second heat won by Bryn Roberts. We'll see who we can grab here in this endeavor here. Give me 1 second, see if we can grab anybody in that. But obviously, a lot of racing here. We'll pull the calendar right back up so everyone can kind of get a double check here. Again, all those times in Eastern U.S. time. And again, it's going to be a wild time here tonight. Let's see if we can get any, let's see if we can get Dustin or Bryn in. Kevin, how do you dissect that?
I mean, how do you dissect that? I don't know how you dissect that. You just take what you can learn. Obviously, some drivers are jubilated, others are a bit concerned. You kind of take what you learn, you take the notes from who was in your heat, and you're like, all right, I can work with you, I can work with you, I maybe can't work with you, I know you're a bit squirrely. You just take the notes from the first heat and the second heat, if you raced in one of them and watched the other, what have you. You take what you learned, you take what you know, you take it back to your team headquarters. If you're independent, you take it by yourself, and you just learn what you need to learn. And try to just take the information and just hope that you can make it to the finish next week and put yourself in a spot where you can take the win. And lastly, that outside line seems to be of a kiss of death, at least for now. But obviously, different track conditions can change how it affects. But that outside line, not the place you want to be on a late restart.
Yeah, that was absolutely a wild time. Obviously, we'll talk to Bryn Roberts here in just a moment. Hear what he has to say here from tonight's race. Bryn, this is Carmen from the ABN booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
That was a wild one. But you kick off Speed Weeks with a bang, winning Duel 2. We talk about the race wins you've had in your A-Square career so far. It took a little bit to wind up last year. You're starting off hot to kick off 2024. Walk us through that duel for you, and obviously how you tried to manage and mitigate all of the dangers there, especially in those last 10 laps.
You know, plate racing is difficult, especially when you have teammates. You kind of got to take care of your teammates as well as yourself. I don't want to say I got lucky by not having any teammates in there. I would have loved to have teammates, but when you don't have teammates in there, you can just worry about yourself. So I was just very aggressive, just taking moves when I wanted to. Didn't have to worry about another car, and you know, it worked out. I guess I got to the lead. I was dealing with some computer issues before. I unfortunately couldn't be with my presidential teammates during their duel, so I apologize for that. But yeah, I mean, it just worked out in the end. I got lucky. Everybody got turned and all that, but you gotta put yourself in the right spot towards the end to have a chance.
Obviously, it's all about right place, right time, something you've known for a while. We've seen you be successful. You obviously, one of your first wins in the A-Square Cup Series came at Talladega, a track where you have to be right place, right time. Now you start this race in Row 2 in 2 weeks' time. How much better of a position does that put you in? How much we talk about, you know, it's a plate race, sometimes it's the lottery. Track position at the start of the race does matter. Typically, that's the right place to be. What does that mean for you, and how does that change sort of how you prepare for this race compared to as if you would have started, maybe in row 7 or somewhere on backwards? How does that change how you attack the race in 2 weeks, knowing that you're just a car ahead or a car away from being leading a line?
Yeah, so unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to make the 500. Just some scheduling issues came up. Cody Pennell will be in my car. I wouldn't want anybody else in my car, to be honest. Cody is such a great racer. I'm not sure how the sub rules work, whether he's going to have to go to the back or if he gets to stay in fourth. I hope he gets to stay in fourth. But I think Cody will obviously do a great job. I can't say enough about the person that Cody is and the racer that he is. I think very highly of him. Just in terms of how that race will probably go, I think you'll probably see a chill start to the race. I think towards the end of the stages, it might get a little rough. And then, like I did in this duel, whoever's going to win that race has to put themselves in position, whether that's 5th or 6th or, even 3rd or 4th. You have to have positive momentum at the white flag, and if you don't, you're not going to win. If you get negative momentum at any time in the final lap, you're toast. So I think that'll be exciting to watch for during that race.
Well, obviously you kick off things in the best way possible. A win in the duel here, obviously a week break, obviously for the big game, and then the 250, and then the season begins there. We haven't had a chance to talk to you, but the season's shorter. That makes opportunities even tighter going into the season, and the field's larger than what it was last season. What are you looking forward to as far as beyond Daytona once you get back in the car?
I'm a huge fan of the shorter schedule. Very, very huge fan. I was one of the first people to kind of endorse a shorter schedule when it was being talked about. 36 races is very long, and they even talk about it in real life. The Real Cup guys, sometimes they say the season's a drag and all that, so it just didn't make a lot of sense, and I applaud Matt Kent and Ryan and all the A-Squared admins for shortening up the schedule. They have a lot of good tracks. There's a lot of good drivers in here, a lot of aggressive drivers. That'll be interesting. But yeah, I think it's going to be a fun series. It's going to have its own identity. It's not going to be like other series, and it's not going to be the drag that A-Squared once was. I don't mean to offend anybody by saying that, but I think it's going to be action-packed. I think the drivers are going to be going hard, and it's going to be a fun season.
Well, it's going to be a fun season. You're going to be one of the drivers fighting for a championship here from February all the way down to September. Bryn, congrats on your win of Duel 2. Hopefully the first of what should be several wins throughout the 2024 season. Enjoy it, and we'll be seeing you again very soon.
Thank you.
That was Bryn Roberts. A fantastic job there. Unfortunately, we will not be able to talk to Dustin Painter. Scheduling constraints will kind of prevent us from being able to talk to him tonight, I believe. But a fantastic interview there from Bryn Roberts. Looking forward towards the season in preview here. Just overall a fantastic effort tonight. You want to talk about kicking the season off with a bang. It can't start off much hotter than that. Again, walking you through the way the next week is going to be. Kentucky tomorrow at 8 p.m. It'll be myself and Kevin Young going from Daytona up to Kentucky Speedway. So we get to cover that race, the middle of the round of 8. After Via Constantinu locked herself into the Championship 4. Who punches their ticket? Tomorrow, we'll find out. 8 p.m. right here on ABN 1. And then Kentucky again on Tuesday for the Hammer Down Truck Series. And then ABN Champ Car from the Lone Star State. I'll be on track. It'll be David Kreutz, Olivia Hayward, and Taylor Mills in the booth for that. Kevin, maybe he'll join me on track. The 72 is open now. So you got an option.
I do love me some Texas. I may open my calendar for that. We'll see though. 72 is open too, so maybe I have to give that number some pride.
The stars are aligning there. Obviously, that's kicking off the next week. On behalf of everyone here, though, for ABN Studios, ABN 1, obviously the ARCS Midwest Barbecue A-Square Cup Series, Smear Racing Designs, Just the Top, and DRS. As you see, a little bit of a parade there to finish everything off. On behalf of my co-commentator, Kevin Young, I'm Carmen Sienna. We'll see you tomorrow from Kentucky. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, have some fun. We'll see you tomorrow from the Bluegrass State. Until next time. So long, everybody.